Hello travelers, and welcome to the Horror Greenbook, the channel that takes you from coast to coast and con to con. I am your travel guide, Brendon, bringing to you a very special edition of the Horror Greenbook. We are here at the Monroeville Mall, site of George Romero's iconic Dawn of the Dead. Guys, it is a great classic film, and it was a must that I come here for Living Dead weekend. This is like a horror hallowed ground here, so I've always wanted to come here ever since my first time checking out this film. So needless to say, it's going to be a fun one, guys. You're going to have all types of people in the house that are related I should say, to George's films. So let's get straight to it, guys. We're going to go check out all the festivities and have a blast. So let's get straight to all the spooky stuff. We are right here, guys, at the Monroeville Mall, and I can't believe I actually made it to the mall from Dawn of the Dead. Wow. Like, you can really feel the energy, guys. And guys, we have people here taking pictures with George Romero's bust here at the Monroeville Mall. So awesome to see it in person. And right here we have the ticket booth with the will call and information. And we have awesome Bub here. Very cool, guys. Gotta love it. We have some cool cosplayers here, some photo opportunities. It's a great time to be here at the Monroeville Mall. Okay, guys, we have more of the convention right here at Hall A for time and space. We're gonna go hang out and see what vendors we can find and just hang out. Yeah, so we have some vendors and people are chilling. We have, oh, looks like some VHS style shadow boxes here. Lots of fun stuff. We got some Mulholland Drive, Scream, all of our favorites. That's very dope. I like the film strips, the huge ones with all of our favorites. That Stephen King one is pretty dope. You can follow them right there on Curious Goods 666. Okay, we have the art of Byron Winton here. Some amazing prints, and he actually did the official artwork for a Living Dead con. He definitely pays lots of respect and homage to these amazing classics. Like, I love that Kolchak one. I mean, if you know about Kolchak, then you know that he inspired the X-Files. And then you have that very cool Night of the Living Dead one. Very sick, guys. And if you guys are interested in checking out his art, you can find him right there online at Byron Winton 3 on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, guys. Check him out. Guys, what I love about it is they have different storefronts that are acting as vendors, or they're holding the vendors, I should say. So you definitely get that convention feel as you're walking through the mall, and it's a very fun thing to take place. I'm buying horror goods in the mall of one of my favorite horror films. Can't beat this experience, guys. So let's save the Monroeville Mall, guys. Let's do what we can to keep this monument with us. Guys, check out these awesome busts here. Very cool masks right there. Man, very sick. Then we have some busts. Very nice. Man, they are sick. Loving how these look, and of course this one's sold. You know, maybe Tom Savini is very proud of that one. So, you know, we have all of our favorites, guys. If you're into Creepshow, if you're into Romero horror, if you're into the dark and macabre, like, look at this one. This is so sick, guys. Check that out. Just for $250, you can't beat that. You could freak out all of your friends with that. That's a dope look, guys. And what I love is there are all types of different price points, guys. These are extremely affordable. So that's what we love about these conventions and seeing all these cool vendors, because they have all types of unique creations that, you know, you can't find elsewhere. So if you want to support Nick here, check it out, guys. We have his information where you can check him out. Guys, show him some love, guys. You know we love to support these vendors and their businesses. You can email them there. Guys, show them some love. Let them know that the Horror Greenbook sent you. We are here at the Pittsburgh Fighters Guild, guys. I came across their table setup, and guys, have you ever wanted to be a swashbuckler? Were you a pirate in a past life? Maybe a ninja? Maybe a Viking? And you want to channel that? Hey, they have you covered, guys. So if you are local to the area, make sure to check them out, guys. We have all of their social media right there. Their Facebook, Instagram, or Blue Sky. You can follow them there. And they have all types of cool items here to check out. Like, you can hold like all these cool swords and see how they feel in your hands. And guys, they are awesome, guys. It will be a very fun group to join and hang out and vibe, guys. And you know, we're all about fellowship here on this channel, guys, no matter what your interest is. So if you're someone that has an interest in the weaponry or swordsmanship, definitely come and check out Pittsburgh Fighters Guild, guys. They definitely seem like they're an awesome bunch to hang out with and practice your skills. Guys, it's a fun time. You see all the vendors are hanging out. We have these awesome flannels right here, guys. Very, very cool. Love it. Hey there. Alright guys, if you're interested in any of those products that I showed, especially those awesome flannels, you'll want to check out Squirrely Stitcher. That is a very awesome name for a business. So guys, if you're feeling squirrely and you need those very cool stitches for the very cool threads that you'll want to wear or display, go ahead and check them out right there. There's the website, Facebook, and Instagram right there. Uniqueness in every stitch. Alright guys, we are here and you guys know what's up. This is Puncture Wound Pins. This is our GBG family member Felicia handling business, selling all her wonderful pins, guys. And you know, she's definitely I mean, you can always see why her table's always busy, guys. You should have seen how busy it was during Texas Frightmare. Like, I walked past and there was like so many people there, and I'm like, that's what we love to see, guys. So as you know, I mean, let's just say this is your first time seeing one of my videos. You know, they have some of the most fantastic pins with this company. I mean, hey guys, you know I'm going to keep it real, but like that Near Dark one, so cool, guys. Love you, Bill. And
These
there
are
we
the
go,
ones I
guys.
made for the show.
And we have the Living Dead Weekend pins right here. So we have Dave represented. Love it, guys. All this zombie madness that we're here for at the mall. So guys, you already know what's up and what you have to do, guys. If you're interested, and I know you guys are interested, go ahead and show Puncture Wound Pins some love and tell Felicia hello from the Horror Greenbook. Okay, you VHS fiends will absolutely love these products that I see right here at this amazing booth here of Madame Macabre. Like, check it out. They have all of your favorites. Night of the Comet, I should say. Return of the Living Dead. I'm actually wearing my Return of the Living Dead shirt right now, prom night. And I love the green. You know, green is my favorite color, so that stands out, especially with that body bags one. I got Terrifier, all of the great ones. This is a very cool Yellow Jackets one. So those of you that are fans of Yellow Jackets, oh, look at the attention to detail there. Very nice. And the Freddy guy in me absolutely loves this one. That's sick. And you guys know I am a sucker for like glow in the dark, black light reactive stuff, just anything like that that just shines. So that is a very cool one, guys. The attention to detail with all of these, like, hey guys, this fire starter one, there you go. It is scorching hot, guys. So if you are really, you know, fans of very unique props and products that you can put up in your horror room or just anywhere that you can display all of your fandom, you would be very pleased to have some of these. I know I would be, for sure. So guys, if you aren't able to be here at Living Dead Con, but you're super interested in finding out more about those products, maybe even having one commissioned. Do you do commissions by any chance?
Absolutely.
All right, guys, you know we love to hear that. So bring all of your awesome ideas on over to Madame Macabre, or you can find her right there on Facebook. Search her name and it should come on up, and show her some love, guys. Guys, now you know I love to show all the cool little items that we can find here. So those of you that are into very creative items here for these dolls, they have you covered here. Like, look at the Sackhead Jason one and Freddy. They are absolutely adorable. And then we have ones that are more in line with the Living Dead kind. Check out Bub right there. Bub looks awesome, and he's able to be posed into doing his salute there. That's what I love about these ones that are here on the wires. They have a skeleton that makes them fully posable, guys. So you can have way more fun with these cool and creepy characters, guys. Absolutely love it. That art there is very cool as well. It's probably the safest art you'll probably have in your house. So love that. And then the John Carver from Thanksgiving. And guys, these look absolutely fantastic. All types of different prices. So guys, gotta love that. And if you are interested in getting some of these very cute and creative products, you would be able to find more information right there. You have the website, you have the Facebook, and you have the Instagram. You even have the QR codes right there. Let me try to get that focused. There we go, guys. So you know what to do, guys, and go ahead and holler at Jenna and tell her the Horror Greenbook sent you. Okay, guys, I am here at the booth of Dimension X Studios. I make monsters, and that is a statement that we love to hear, guys. And look at all the cool goodies that they have with these masks. And we have this very cool one that's sold out. Man, I know whoever bought that is going to be extremely pleased. We have magnets here, all types of cool things, and we have a little information in regards to the artist. I have worked as a makeup artist and character designer for film, stage, and television. Let me help you create the character of your dreams or nightmares. Now that is quite a business proposal there, guys, so we love it. Look at these cool like trophy busts, so that's nice, guys. So you have your trophies for the zombies that you were able to eliminate here at the Monroeville Mall. And over here we have more cool masks and busts and things of that nature, guys. Oh, love it. Super sick, guys. And you see all the colors that are being worked with as they're being painted. Like, guys, this is really intricate work, and I really appreciate the skills that all of these artists and vendors have, and they're bringing to us here as fans. We have all types of other cool products here. We have zombie screamers, we have these cool severed goblin heads that feel freaking amazing to touch, guys. But you know how like sometimes you'll touch products and they just don't feel right in your hand? That feels like one of those things that you totally want to like constantly touch. So guys, if you're very interested, you want to check out more, you can go ahead and find Dimension X Studios right there, guys. Go ahead and make sure to show them some love. Guys, I just came across this awesome booth as well. All types of cool artwork. Like, check out that TMNT parody one, Teenage Mutant Half Shell Horror Monster Squad. Now that is quite a link up right there. And we have one of my favorite scenes in Demons being represented right there in the theater with the dirt bike and the samurai sword. Absolutely awesome. Another one that I really like is that Pretty Woman one. Oh, that is an awesome TCM Part 2 one. Be awesome to have Bill sign that one. I think he would get a kick out of that one for sure. And they have all types of cool things. They even have like trading cards, guys. So it gives you those feels of being a kiddo and hoping that you'll come across like that Freddy card right there. And maybe you're lucky, maybe you'll have to buy a few more packs. But all types of cool things, pens, I mean, guys, stickers and such, everything you could possibly want here. And if you're wanting to find vowel consumption. You can Google vowel consumption online, or you can scan that QR code to go to the link tree, and that will take you to everywhere you'll need to go to find these very cool items right here. And wow, so many cool items that you can see here. All of the stickers. But guys, what really brought my eye were these postcards right here from Michigan, from Springwood, Colorado, and Haddonfield. I think that is an absolutely amazing, concept, especially if you're someone, that has to travel light or pack lightly. And speaking of classy artwork, that Wolverine picture right there, where he's obviously focusing on Deadpool's better side, is definitely an amazing piece. So guys, if you want to support small businesses, if you want to support local artists, make sure to have the Instagram right there, guys. Go ahead and show some love. And also, we have the website right there. You know it, guys, support your local artists. Show some love. And here is the event photography section where you would sign up for your photo ops with all these amazing celebs. I mean, you gotta fight to get your spot because the skeletons are getting all the right placements for sure. But guys, you could have had pictures basically with everyone here, and it would have made for an amazing time for sure, guys. So definitely make sure to, just enjoy these moments, because you never know, All right, making our way into Hall B in order to check out some of the vendors and what they have in store for us. And as you can see, we have all types of vendors here. We have Brian Stewart, illustration, 3D art and design. Very much so. We have a little bit of everyone. We have Zombie Book Club podcast. Dope. Make sure to check them out. Guys, everyone's in here vibing, chilling, having a great time. Got Mischief Toys in the house. Now guys, you already know I had to come out this way because, black light reactive art is definitely a favorite of mine. So, all these classics like Dracula, that Nightmare on Elm Street one is definitely speaking to me. And they're $40 each, or 3 for $100. You really can't beat that for black light art, guys. And we even have prints here that you can add onto your wall as well. They are 13 by 19s, so they're not taking up entirely too much space, but I think they will fit perfectly on your walls. Guys, I love that. The Crow one is one of my all-time favorites. And you got some Papa there. Can't deny how fly that looks, guys. Anyway, guys, if you want to check out more information, you can support Matt right there on Instagram. Go ahead and check him out. Show him some love. Let him know that the Horror Greenbook sent you.
So we're looking at The Dead Weight. This is a book about 12 girls in a zombie apocalypse. We start our journey in their locked juvenile care facility. After the zombies come, they have to escape. They wander out into the woods, and then they begin to turn on one another. And that's where the action hits.
Nice. Oh, that's very cool, guys. So if you're interested and you want to know more, go ahead and check out The Dead Weight right there, guys. And you have the website right there, and then you have the QR code that you can check out more information. Sounds like an awesome read, guys. And guys, very cool paintings here. Very awesome and very affordable, guys. I mean, you get unique artwork, one of a kind, $30. I mean, super affordable. We even have prints here. Very awesome. Stickers, magnets, a little bit of everything here at Living Dead Con. But guys, if you're really interested in having some very unique artwork as well, commissions are available. So, I mean, you can do a little bit more than your pets, but we love our four-legged members of our families. So of course we want to immortalize them in some amazing artwork. It's only right. But if you have something else in mind, go ahead and reach out. You can reach out to Rachel right there. You have all of her information and show her some love. Guys, we are here at the booth of 1331 Studios. You can find them on Facebook, Instagram, all over social media. And let me go ahead and hook you up with the QR code beforehand. But very nice artwork, guys. All of our favorites. I love that Tales from the Hood one right there. So many favorite ones. I mean, you got some Bill Moseley there. You got Evil Dead, Megan. So many amazing ones that we just know and love. Who doesn't love Bob right there from Beetlejuice, looking very cool. I mean, all of our favorites. Got some Tom Atkins right there. Hey, got some Thrill Me action. Guys, love it. The selections are on point, guys. I cannot tell you how awesome it is. Like, it's super sick. And all types of prices, you know. Very affordable items, all types of things here. We have some very cool standees right here. You put all your cool little knickknacks in there. Love it, guys. You have a little bit of everything you'll need. You even have some slates right there, like that Lisa Frankenstein one. The artwork is phenomenal. And look at these cool, unique tote bags. So you can show off your fandom at a convention, whether it's a pop-up market, or if you just want to go out to the farmer's market and show off that you're a horror fan amongst the normal people, quote unquote. But guys, if you want to show some love, go ahead and holler at 1331 Studios. Could you tell us a little bit about these awesome products that you have here?
Absolutely. So me and the guy that I served with, he's the Z and the ZNC.
Okay.
We decided to write a book about 4 or 5 years ago. That book kind of blossomed into the Wither universe, as we call it. So right now we have what's available here, the original book, book 1.5, which is the Rot War, 2 anthologies, which is a mixture of 16 authors across 4 countries.
Oh, wow.
And this one has 13 authors across 3 countries. And what they did was they gave us their stories for free, because the profits to both of these books go to a couple different organizations around the country that help find and shelter human trafficking victims and abuse and battered women and children.
Awesome.
And then the company that does this one, which is We Fight Monsters, they actually take back dope houses from foreclosure,
reinvesting them and everything.
And then give them back to up and coming
Nice.
recovering addicts.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so that's it.
Oh man, that is an awesome, thing that you have set up there in regards to the authors and just, giving their stories for a great cause and everything. And not only that, guys, so that's one of those things I always say about the horror community. We're always so giving. We love to, we will give the shirt off our backs to help another person, guys. So if you are very interested in very cool, creepy stories, guys, if you're into the whole zombie, vibe, if you just can't get enough of that, you want to make sure to check them out, guys, at the Wither Universe right here. And we also have a QR code. Let me go ahead and get that focused. All right, there you go, guys. Go ahead and hit that QR code and check them out, guys. Show them some love. Guys, if you are a fan of roller derby, you should definitely come check out Pittsburgh Roller Derby. I am a huge fan. If you're someone that just loves very cool sports and just fellowship, you will meet some of the coolest people in the roller derby scene for sure. And let me give you guys some information here. So if you are in the Pittsburgh area, or if you're just coming by to visit, go ahead and show them some love. Or if you're even thinking about possibly joining, they are open gender. So come one, come all. Go ahead, break a sweat, and make some friends. And here we have people from one of the tours of the day, getting all the ins and outs of the mall. I wasn't as lucky to get a tour ticket, but who knows? One may become available as the day goes along, or tomorrow, because plans change and people can't make it, and then they're selling them at the last minute. Speaking of which, I need to check the Facebook group to see if any have come about.
And now they're like 25 years old, and they just love it even more, man. That is so special. I think, we're older now. First thing.
That's all.
And your performances, and how's your feeling about your performances evolved over these years? You know, like from when you mentioned about, Day of the Dead got some heat when it first came out because people were disappointed that this was the movie that followed Dawn of the Dead. Dawn of the Dead is a certain other thing. But there was also some disappointment in Dawn of the Dead from people that had first seen Night, like myself. So before Dawn of the Dead, there was no expectations of a zombie genre. Dawn kind of created that. And then with that, expectations what the next movie should be. But over time, as you also said, it's evolved. The fans have, found what they like about Day of the Dead. It's the three movies are kind of like three different themes, three different flavors. But for your own performances, for those characters that are so well detailed and so well drawn, what are your thoughts on each of your characters and how those feelings have evolved over time?
Mine was the old scenario when it came out because we were insecure and they hated it and it was like we thought we really did a good job and we really appreciated each other and it was George's favorite book of three actually and we worked really hard to build our characters and to talk with George and he gave us a lot of freedom to discuss it. Most of this came from theater, so George too. We went to Carnegie Mellon, left, trained actors, and we took it seriously. And I think at the time, they just didn't like it. The critics didn't like it. It was very painful, actually. But to watch it now, I learned more from you guys. Telling us different stories about what they're into, and especially where you were in your life when you found the film. And to have made that kind of impact, it's just very heartwarming. And so it's like you got that fast. I'm going to cry.
No, the evolution of the films is very, very, from the time I there's a part of us that died that keeps coming back to haunt us to eat our new souls. And that was caused by materialism that pervades our society. People are going crazy with it and not paying attention in their life that has to be as well as taking us. We have these characters that struggle, the anxious struggle to find a place. Relaxation, find getting out. And my whole character is this: I want to get out of here and find some peace somewhere. And the beach for me is always going to be some place because it's where the four elemental kingdoms meet: fire, air, water, and earth. And to be in peace there, it's just hard to me. I love to do the character. Monologue. I was afraid that it might not make it in because the boys are really dedicated to zombies and horror and special effects. So I wanted to go see the premiere just to see that monologue and it did. So I was very happy about that. So George's singles always trying to always make us better human beings. So that's the message. And I know that I love it.
Woo!
Again, working with George, he was able to perceive what we were doing. He never pushed for an effect. Because there was plenty of drama. You could always say melodrama. It wasn't quite melodrama with Joe Pilato and Gary Barr. And they were ferocious, but they were real. And somehow or other, against the script probably, that facility which you see a lot of today. But if you, some of the series you see today, if they're down to earth and they're related on screen, you begin to watch. You know, so that was my impression with George, and with me personally, he was very, very reassuring, which I needed.
Actors are so insecure, really. And I think it's harder to be our real selves sometimes. And we're shy. A lot of us are shy. Right? You're shy.
Oh, very shy.
No, you know, once you get the character, you're really you.
No, it's true.
Yeah, it's true. I mean, a lot of actors are not shy, and they're, you know, that's okay. But the kind of actors like sort of like working with other people that are in it, really hard.
The actors, you know, there are stars, there are
Actors.
yeah, so the actor coming from an internal place, relating to someone else coming from an internal place, is very watchable. And that's what we were doing, I think. I could probably do it a bit better today, but no one's asking.
Actors are personality actors. We give it now. Reality TV is now just a personality. And it gets to the point where they're bigger. And that's where it goes. But personality actors versus those here. But we are just from the inside out. It makes a great difference in chemistry. And that's what we had for the movie. People were hooked into it. It makes a great difference when the chemical stuff is working in a movie for actors. So, yeah, we are got levels. We got different levels we can play with. And I enjoy doing different characters. I enjoy doing different characters in the movies and DVD.
The three of us are really close friends, and we're kind of like the characters with each other in a way, right? Don't you think? Kind of.
Yeah,
Well, not really, but you know. Never mind. I said, you know, we're like such good friends. I said, we're kind of like the characters in a way, right? No, I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
In a way.
In a way.
but that's the key that she was talking about. To go out and get the insecurity away from us. We just drift into the characters. We feel from a certain, it's a different kind of reading. So it's not reading a novel. You just feel things and come up with the nuances of who these people are. And that was a great exploration in George's characters. They were all whole in this movie. So we had fun creating and we worked off each other brilliantly and we were very secure in our working off each other.
We trusted each other, you know.
As actors, you know, we never said to each other, is that the way you're going to do that? But there was none of that stuff. You know, we just accepted it and proved. Well, it's going to be behind my back.
Was there anything each of you wanted to do differently or suggested to do differently with each of your characters, but it didn't come about?
George was very strict on the lines. It was like, okay, we play. And he was a playwright. He was still a movie director. Because a lot of times in movies, it's ad-libs. Because the camera likes that presence to be right in the now. And George was very specific. And if he wanted to add something, we talked about it. We'd go to him and say, hey, George, I'd like to go up in volume. And I said, this is a great big void in my tombstone. And when I told him I was going to do that, he said, yeah, man, I'll put some echo in. We're working on that. Yeah, so that's the way George was, that's the way we were, and it's a very fine experience to work on that.
And for me too, I never have done a major part in a film. You know, I came, like I said, we did theater and I did a lot of television. And so when, you know, I remember maybe it was the first day or something, I moved my head like, I said, oh,
a bit on Heaven's Gate. So this movie was new to me, and the role was quite big, so I was finding my way. And there was a point one evening where I wasn't getting it. I was down in the mine, with the military. And George, very cleverly, he wrapped for the day, but kept us to rehearse as if we were in the theater rehearsing. We came back in the morning and then we filmed. And that's how aware he was. So I didn't have an awful lot, I just wanted to do it.
What would you each say is like the high point of your character in the film? What's the part that, for each of you, that does it for you?
It's the change. For me, of course, it was the arm chop. Because in the first version that I read, the arm chop took place in the first 7 to 10 minutes of the movie. So when he rewrote it and made it in the middle, it was a great change for Laura's character for us all. Because we knew immediately what she was trying to do, the carriage she was trying to her husband. So these kinds of things make a great difference in how things are done and how it makes a kind of symbol for you as an audience and how tension is created with moving things about. I think that for me that was a change all the way down the character.
Yeah, so that arm shot was supposed to happen earlier in the script, but he moved it to later.
Right.
And specifically for the character of John, that's like kind of where John starts to, before he's kind of like a artist. Nobody's doing what he wants them to do. So he's kind of stepping back. But now all of a sudden he's coming to her aid. And so that's a big change for the character.
You know, I think there's there too, the trauma of doing the art trauma was such an opportunity for Sarah to really, Terry just lose it.
It's just where Sarah lets go.
Yeah, she lets go, and you get to really see who she was before all of this, and her being vulnerable, because she had to put up that front and then talk, and yet with the three of us, when we were just together, we got to be friends, but with that art truck, there's such a release of actors, also has I always think when I come back into there's like I've noticed there's a softness in my face. It's kind of soft. And that's the first time everything was spinning. And that's the way to survive. But isn't that the way we all live our lives? We try to survive and personality. But it certainly is better to be vulnerable and it's harder. And to be open and vulnerable. It's harder, but I think it's authentic and it's real, and this is how I believe we all embrace each other, and especially now with everything that's going on, to find that connection.
What do you think was your character's, peak? What was a high point for your character?
I think once we came to get out of there, and that action began to take place, I think that's when Dermot got busy. Otherwise, he's just on the radio trying to get a signal and putting up with the military. So that's when I think the possibility of getting out.
It finds purpose and goes into action.
And moving along, yes. Yeah.
Actually, I'm glad you brought up the scene of the arm shot because it slipped my mind. So a few months ago, we lost the other lead actor, Anthony DeLeo,
champions.
He loved animals. His dogs were his pride and joy, his companions.
Yeah, I was with him when he was dying. So.
How many folks here got to meet Anthony Delay? Okay, so if you did meet him, he was kind. He was a kind person, but a lot of people didn't realize this. He had health issues, and he was here. He was frequently in pain, and it was very hard for him to sit long hours. And that really, again, he was always just welcoming to the fans, but it might come off like he was a little bit standoffish. And again, it was because he was constantly in pain with his back and being difficult.
I remember
It was a great time.
I remember Tim, we didn't have a lot to do with each other on a movie, but I do remember him as a very intense man. He seemed to me to be very intense. And even as he was wrapping up on Day of the Dead, he was preparing for these questions. Oh yes. Oh yes. Nice man.
So if we get any questions from the audience, anybody have a question, come right up here to the mic.
First of all, thank you for being here. My question is, my favorite part of is I think you're on the humans of the film. Military, all seem like they're part of the zombies. What is your favorite part of each one of your as
In the movie, I certainly enjoy the humor in the writing.
Yes.
I mean, I really appreciate it.
He's very funny in the film. Yeah,
Well, that dark sense of humor was up through the movie all the time. The dark sense of humor and all. Dr. Frankenstein, Richard Gere, eats their food. Okay, he came in the middle of that, and it brought a whole other kind of level to the movie when he appeared. Wonderful dynamic with his character. I'm sorry, I never got a chance to be with all of these. That's really, really early on. But it was really a performance. All the actors in this movie gave astounding, brilliant performances. And we were lucky to have gotten these characters and fulfilled them. And it's called movie because the special effects are still incredible to this very day. So I enjoyed working with this man because he was a really brilliant actor. And at that time, not many people knew. And when you get to work with a brilliant actor across from you, it stays with you. You want to repeat that. You don't get it. A lot of time material is there. You know, plays or sometimes TV is bad. Some of them. But this was one of the finest experiences I had. Working with George, of course. He said it was his best piece. Thank you. And one other director said it was his best piece. That was in the theaters. It was Mike Nichols, who was a great director for years. Yes. So he said it was his best piece. So I'm really honored. I was honored when I came to Pittsburgh to work in another icon writer, August Woodson, who's a Pittsburgh
but even after all these years, if there was to be a sequel to Day of the Dead that would maybe show what happens to Bug after the events of the original, would you want to reprise our roles as our characters if that were to happen?
Would you be interested in reprising it again? Johnny, Sarah, and Billy, what do you think?
Yes.
Yes.
Stay tuned.
Bug might have caught up with everybody else on the island.
You can't deny that. He's becoming a leader.
It's interesting to think, like, who would they be? Talk about an actor who's wow, so stay tuned.
Stay tuned.
Bug's journey back to humanity.
Thank you guys for everything. I really appreciate it. I got a funny question. Mr. Conroy, every time you said Jesus, Mary, and Joseph went to a swing, was that alcohol in there or just I'm not telling.
What's the famous line about going to fight against dry rock?
Dry rock and Russ. The good fight, yes. That's a good fight.
This is a question for all three of you guys. What was the most challenging part of each one of you during the script? What was the most challenging part of the script?
Something
Think of the line in a second. He's something like Jello. He's turning into Jello. Yeah, I can't even say that. I'm not trying. No, it was challenging. I wanted it to sound. I mean, it was a setup for what was said back to me. But I always just know one little line. I know it sounds small, but it's big when you're trying to be in character. And he's turning into Jello. It just didn't, but then a little small thing, but it was a big thing for me.
I think you're not being a jello.
I didn't hear.
I think you're not being a jello.
Sorry.
Well, you didn't think it fit with the character. It was just hard to get that out.
It's a good question. How far was the books different? I'll tell you, for me getting into the script at the start was scary. So once I settled in, it was much easier.
We didn't know what. You don't know even the style. There are different styles and everything. Things like frogs and everything. So it was very, we learned to trust each other, and then we became comfortable, and then you know what the character would say, even if you don't have the lines in front of you. You know how they would react to something. And that's such a comfortable place to be when you start out. It's scary.
The big challenge for me was running through the caves, shooting zombies. Because back in the day, it was a slow process. Okay, we're gonna shoot this zombie, we had to get ready to go. With the gun, I had all the activities, pushing the buttons. And what happened is that you had to wait. You had to pass on because you couldn't read. And when they were ready, they said, let's go. So immediately you had to be intense. You were ready to kill. So that was very, very difficult to come up to that level immediately after sitting there and waiting and waiting.
Hello, my name is Mark from San Antonio, Texas. And what is the standing with Night of the Living Dead 2? It's been a while. Have you ever seen it come to fruition? I'll answer that without getting into detail. Something is happening with that. It won't be called Night of the Living Dead 2. Let's put it that way. something with that project is happening. So, as we said, stay tuned.
When they release it, I was going to have another distribution in the fall.
Day of the Dead is going to hit theaters again.
Yeah, so send everybody to show that it's time that film deserves it. So that's where it came from.
This is just, I don't want to speak for them, but my personal opinion is the Rice Holder does a terrible job of landing. How many, you've seen the sequels, the reimaginings, the last was a TV series, they're all ill-conceived. What's in the TV series like 6 episodes, 3 weeks and it was gone. And this is what the rights holder thinks is a good idea. And it's up to you guys to tell them that that is not a good idea. You want the continuation story to right? The audience has that power. The actors don't have that power. Or, the people working in the business don't have that power to tell them that. All they know is people outside of working with these guys, or the people that worked on George Romero's films, people like Michael Cornick and so forth, who have the know-how how to continue that. They don't go to them. They go to whoever is throwing money at them. And that's why you get these kind of half-assed, excuse my language, but just very ill-conceived projects. What is Day of the Dead up to now? 3 remakes plus a TV series, and there's nothing to show for it. Those are never going to go past the few weeks that they were relevant. So it's not like this movie. There's 40 years now later, you're all here to see these final folks. So it's up to you guys to demand better. Please do it.
Question regarding at the beginning, you're having that dream where you're looking at that calendar, and at the end of the movie, you have the main calendar. So I was just wondering what your thought was on that. Was that your attempt to try to preserve something from before humanity went to shit and keep the time? What went on with it?
I think that it is time gets distorted in the present. And it's a matter of just being turn maybe what life used to be like, having a picture, beautiful picture, and also, it's the time was so fluid, and it was her way of, it's like her Ritz, in a way, it was like her peaceful place, and it wasn't so, she had that dream where hands come on the wall, so it was like the horror was coming through the pieces she was trying to create. When she got onto the beach, she's a survivor. And I think that's a very good question. Thank you.
I thought, because you could take the movies, music really thing, you could take a symbol and work with it and all kind of appreciation. So when I saw it, I think the day that it is November the 1st, and the hands come up, I thought she was pregnant. And she was counting the days. That's why she was so fierce about protecting her husband. And I said, okay, she was pregnant, and this is what we're talking about. Right at the end, they come and get in the helicopter, the hands up. The helicopter trying to suck the life out of her. And that's just my take on it. We have a lot of different takes, but that was mine.
Along the lines of this question, did you ever think about these characters when they're castings? Well, while you were making the movie, where did they all come? Because they're all from different backgrounds.
They're all trying to survive. That was the main message of my character. And that is the intensity brought by George's writing and his focus. I thought just from reading the characters were complete. So it was that survival thing. It hooked us up, made us go forward, made us be
actually forget there. I didn't either, or I didn't consider it. And some people do, so a lot of the time you do.
My question is about Bob. I'm curious what you guys think George's intentions were when making a zombie that starts turning back towards humanity. Zombies were kind of a reflection of like illusion to materialism and stuff like that.
He's asking what you thought of the character.
Oh, wait, sorry, is that better?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I was wondering what you guys thought maybe George's intentions were creating a zombie that starts turning back to humanity, since, you know, his creation of zombies were like a reflection of our illusion to materialism and stuff like that. You know, that's where the topic would go, the deep themes here.
So the zombies in the previous movie and most of the zombies today are just like devoid of humanity. They're just trying to kill the humans. But Bob is different and has some humanity, like sparks of humanity in him. And certainly relationship with, you know, Richard Liberty's character, where he sees him as kind of a father figure. But what do you think George was trying to convey in the writing of that?
Once again, I think that of hope. It wasn't so something that was a big change. That really changed everything. He could do that. His song, remembrance of being a human. And it was watching Howard and George work on it was really interesting. I know they were thinking about what to do with this or that. It unfolded very much so as they worked together. I think that a sense of hope. I don't think he has an idea of a sequel or anything. Although, you know, I don't want to consider it to be the trilogy, and then there's another. I think that they progressed. He progressed.
Originally, the original script of Day of the Dead has the two characters, I think it was two characters left watching over the body of their friend who has died, and the body doesn't resurrect. So that was George's way of saying it's done. So it's now it's where you have like Bob and a few other instances, but certainly Bob being an example of a new kind of zombie, one that's starting to retain parts of humanity. You now have a body that doesn't come back, and that was going to be important. It was George that put his stamp on and saying, I am done. I'm done with this. I've said it like I said.
Well, when zombies first started out, they were aimlessly walking, and they didn't attack me. George was the first one. Brought it up to eat. And so oddly speaking, I think it was they went back to eat your soul. And he made that very clear. And when Frankenstein says, no, we don't need to do this. We're going to train you. We're going to train humans to do this. When I say do this, it's another kind of process. He had a wonderful series. And what happened is that zombies now all over the place.
That's why we want people to know where they came from. The Walking Dead. Really, it was the beginning of that. So, but the other thing I want to tell you a story I think you'll like is that we were at a convention with George. He said, oh, I got this really cool script. And he appreciated when other directors' ideas, anything, being an artist, working to other creative ideas. And so anyway, he said, the zombies are fast in this movie. And it turned out to be 28 days. So, yeah, I love that movie. I thought that was so cool. And George really appreciated it. Yeah, I'm excited to see it.
So thank you. Last question, and then we're going to do a cast.
Thank you. Especially when we were talking so much before about the scene with Prince. Because I love that scene once
got a lot of people willing to do Brendon all up, the cast and crew from Day of the Dead.
Woo!
That's why it's all swollen. Because Cheeto bit his arm and it swelled up.
It was actually Greg that I met, which is even funnier. Sean was still acting through it, and we did that as a second unit thing, and it was Greg doubling Sean's arm. So I actually played Greg's arm. Yes.
Hi Sean, how's it going? Awesome. I'm Brian. Good to meet you, Brian. Nice to meet you. Good to see everybody out here. This is incredible.
Woo!
This is your first time here?
My first time here, absolutely.
Okay. Hey, you want to start at the beginning? Tell us how you got involved in the film.
Well, it's a terribly short story, guys. I'm an actor, and I auditioned, and then they gave me the part.
Have you ever seen any of George's movies before you auditioned? Careful how you answer that.
Right, no, they
might get lynched.
No, exactly.
Just lie. Maybe I just lied.
Not the full films, but the clips to get the idea of it. Yeah, after the fact, you start to realize the legend that you're working with. Like, oh, I see now. I get this following. Makes sense.
Are you going to go? Yeah. Okay. Tell us a little bit about your work on the film and your memories of working with George, as far as personal or professional. Just we're here because of everything George did. So let's talk a little bit about working with the man.
He had time for everybody, which was probably the most important lesson that I learned watching him was the time and respect that he gave to everybody else. When you see somebody at that level who still is available, it's good for a young actor to sort of learn that early. And yeah, it was like having my grandfather on set. It was somebody you don't want to disappoint. Not that he would ever convey that he was disappointed with anything, but he's the guy that you want to see have that little sparkle in his eye after finishing a take. And yeah, I absolutely feel grateful to be here, and we're all sort of sharing the same thing, and it was very special.
There's one really interesting note that probably none of you thought about. Is we had our 9 or so hero zombies. Big Daddy, wrong show. Big Daddy, the teenage couple, Tambourine Man, number 9, the Butcher. And one night I was going back to LA for the weekend to see my wife and my son, and I realized that those 9 or so hero zombies never bit anybody in the entire movie. If you really think about it, those zombies never ate, they never feasted. So were they really zombies, or were they just, because that was George's story. The story was that the zombies are evolving. In Day of the Dead, Bub's being fed human flesh to become more obedient. And I remember sitting there thinking to myself, like, I'm a hardcore zombie Romero guy. I love the feasting scenes, I loved the guts being pulled out. That was like, for me, that was the exciting stuff. So I had this epiphany. I'm at the airport with Selene Thomas. Remember Selene, the French producer? So I'm sitting at the airport and I say to her, the zombies don't eat anybody. This is George Romero zombie movie. They need to eat some people. And like, I think a week or 2 later, we shot the scene when the zombies break into the military base. And I was like, George, the zombies have to feast on people. Because that's part of the mythology. If zombies don't eat anybody, you're taking the teeth out of the monster. And that's an argument that we have on Walking Dead all the time. Because I say, okay, there's 90 zombies, and then little Rosita, who's 92 pounds, runs in and kills 70 of them. I'm like, no fucking way. So it was really important. I had this weird revelation one night that our hero zombies never eaten. Now I'm sure that was done by George on purpose, because it really was the intention to shift the population. At the end of the movie, the zombies take over the city, and the good guys are all sort of banished out. But it was kind of strange to think about a zombie movie where the zombies aren't eating people. Learn something new.
Yeah.
What would you earn your money at this panel?
Every penny.
Every penny.
At the end of the film, seeing the progression of the zombies that, you know, I know George eventually sort of restarted with other films. Were there discussions about what the evolution eventually was, the uniform was, or the ultimate plan was going to be there?
Survival of the Dead is after. Is after Land of the Dead.
Right.
But no, I mean,
Because it's so simple.
it's very small because it's on the island.
Right, it's involved.
Yeah. But, you know, I always thought that George, really the intention was who's more human. And, you know, Walking Dead does that in a very different way because Walking Dead is more, what do you turn into in the zombie apocalypse? Whereas George's movies were the zombies are the society. So it's very different. That's why when we talked to George in season 2 about directing The Walking Dead, he's like, I'm good. He said, your zombies are your zombies, my zombies are my zombies, it's cool, don't worry about it, I'm okay. And then he trashed Walking Dead, dude, it's a big, stupid soap opera. Well, he's not wrong, it is a soap opera.
It was like you guys paused to go to commercial. You know?
Well, we did.
You guys want to get your money's worth and ask some questions? Is there, you know, you guys drove up here for this. You flew up here for this.
There we go.
Maybe somebody wrote a snow.
You asked a question yesterday, didn't you? 3.
Triple
What did you do this time?
He was one of our best questionnaires yesterday.
Yes.
That's awesome. Also, or no, Diary of the Dead as well. Any other zombie movies that you worked on?
Diary of the Dead. I got the archive footage in Survival of the Dead. The Resident Evil films are all zombies. But I think that's it.
You
Yeah.
should make one tonight. It'll be VIP Party of the Dead. We'll shoot a movie tonight.
Maybe a quick question for everybody. What would you say the best part and maybe the worst part of working on it?
Yeah, we covered some of this yesterday. It was just a tough shoot for weather and exterior nights forever. 11 weeks, I think we did. That was the toughest challenge. It just was physically demanding, and you know, the turnarounds for rest were a lot. So we were just grinding week after week. So to me, that was the hardest part. The makeups were actually the easiest part, getting everybody ready. It was enduring the schedule and stuff.
You know, it's funny. Somebody went to the CMU library where all of George's papers are. The guy came up to my table and he's like, man, I was reading a letter that George wrote after Land of the Dead. It was like 4 pages of him just pissed. Because, you know, I think I mentioned yesterday, you know, people like George and Toby Hooper and Wes, and they were like independent maverick filmmakers. Like, they did it their own way. Like, so some studio guy comes in and says, oh, maybe we should shoot this. They'd be like, yeah, that sounds great. But the guys would turn around. And George really suffered from that. It started on Day of the Dead when the budget got cut from $7 million to $3 million. But this one, there was a lot of studio interference. George was not happy. Look, I mean, mind you, my sole job I felt in that movie was to make him happy. And it was not always easy because he was really fighting an uphill battle a lot of times. Which you never, look, his job is to never let you see that. His job is to make the best movie that he can make. And that's why when you were saying how accessible he was, and you know, there were good moments. I think as we got closer to the end of the movie, when a lot more of the pressure was off him, we kind of loosened up a little bit more. And then when we went back and did the reshoots, he was a different person because he's like, okay, I have a movie. I can see it. You know, if you think back, when you're making a movie, as a director, in your head, you read the script, you imagine it in your head, and then you communicate it with your actors, your effects people, the writer, Gina's a writer as well. You communicate your vision to them. And then you kind of got to back away. You deal with art department, do visual effects. When you get to set, they got to bring it. They got to bring what you have wanted them to do. So a lot of times you get what you want. And a lot of times you see it, you're like, it's not really how I imagined it. You can get there sometimes with actors, or, you know, you can get it there. Sometimes you don't get it there. Or the craziest thing is, a million times I'm Walking Dead, I'd shoot something, I'd go into the editing room and I'd say to the editor, okay, right here there's a close-up of Rick. I want you to put it there. And he's like, I went through all the footage, the shot doesn't exist. in my head, the shot was in my shot list in my head. And then when you have 3 camera guys, and the camera guys are doing this, not one of them went over to Rick. So in your head, you're like, guys, make sure you get a close-up of Rick here. And you're watching the monitors, you're talking to the actors, the effects guys are setting something up. So sometimes you don't know if you have it. When you do a movie like this, George's imagination is so big and so grand, and he felt the pressure. So I think when we did the reshoots, it was a lot of that pressure was relieved because he was like, we have a fucking movie here. And I tell you, a lot of directors do the same thing. You know, they don't know if they have it until they put it together. And sometimes they put it together and like, how many movies have you heard, like Marvel movies or stuff? And they're like, yeah, they went back for 3 months of reshoots. You know, I guess they didn't have the movie.
But I want to spin off of what Greg said earlier.
It's Greg, not Craig. Greg.
Greg.
Hi, Eugene.
Hey, Eugene.
We're tap dancing.
There was one night, I remember this early on in the show, when it was difficult. I think when George was having some issues with 5 producers behind him constantly. I had to run to the trailer, like our makeup trailers were over here, we were shooting in a different section. So I had to go back to the trailer and I saw George all alone, and he had the script in hand and he was tearing out like some pages and stuff. And I remember looking at it and going, wow, like they're really on his back for this. And it kind of hurt me a little bit because I knew what he had done and previous to that. It was that independent style filmmaker that, like you said, him, Wes, all those guys. And by the time we saw the finish line toward the end, I just felt good that he had finished this film, whether it was exactly the way he wanted it or not, but he had to believe in the sights. But I remember that end of him just flipping the page and the script was like, oh man, that's
Plus, things evolve. You know, things evolve. Actors bring elements to their character that you wouldn't have thought of. Or, you know, so I think anybody here that wants to be a filmmaker, wants to make movies, the other thing to learn about this is be organic. The idea of movie making is organic. You come to set, you know, I'll give you a perfect example. We're shooting a scene of Walking Dead. Lauren Cohan was like 20 minutes late for set. And I was like, oh shit, like we gotta go. So we rehearsed the whole scene. The stand-in stood where she was supposed to stand. And then she comes up to set, I'm really sorry, I'm like, that's okay. Okay, so stand here, walk over here, stand in line, do this. And she said, well, can I just do it once first? And I went, okay. That was a very good note from an actor. Instead, you'd never tell an actor, stand here. I remember one director once said to Jeff DeMunn and Scott Wilson, hey, when you do this next take, can you just be louder? And Jeff DeMunn's like, what is that? That's not a note. Like, what does be louder mean? Because actors, you can't just, you don't want to give them notes that don't come from a place where their character relates. You can't just be like, stand here and say, and I've worked on shows, you know worked on shows, where the director will say, okay, now do it again, and turn around and say it again, and they literally coach the actors off screen while the camera's rolling. I will never do that in a million years, because you're breaking the concentration of these actors who have to put a lot into their characters. You guys want to comment on that? Eugene, since you're here to the end. Say yeah, Greg.
Yes, he's absolutely right. George actually didn't direct me at all in Left 4 Dead. But it was in his script. And his script organically just cut it because where I grew up in the South in the 50s, I related to the zombies, just trying to get someplace. Most of them just want to eat anybody, but I was like, let's get the hell out of here. But in the audition process, George just said, you're dead, you're returning to life, go. So it was all improv. And in my mind, I'm trying not to go there now, because for some reason back, and I don't know where I was sitting, because there was a lot of death and destruction going on in that line. Genocide happened all over the world. So when he said go, I just sat there. For a long time, and he said, are you okay? And I nodded. Now, at that moment, I was thinking, I changed in the bathroom. I didn't do like this. There were a lot of guys in the bathroom that weren't washing their hands. Okay? And I'm sitting there, and there's a telephone, a desk, and an office chair. And I'm thinking, how bad do I want this car? So I felt pretty bad. So I got on the floor, I'm back against the wall, and with this telephone, I laid my head on the phone in a fetal position like a baby. Then, like bam, I started beating the phone. Then I started licking the phone like babies do with stuff. Then I grabbed the chair, I stood up in a total rage, and George went, oh, God. And during the shoot, whenever he watched the movie and you never see me, like, whenever I wrote, a lot of the sound, we had to go back and do ADR. We had to dub the sound. But the actual sound the night of is much more chilling than what you hear in the movie. I'm a Jamaican friend, he's a really tough guy. He says he was a tough guy. He was a musician. He goes, yo man, you come on set that night, man, you mashed me up. I know my accent sounds tough. But one night, they had to fix something. And I was going through my Pro 6. And it felt like an hour ago, guys. And they decided, oh, it's good. He left. And I'm still in this dark place. I told him what he needs to do. Come on. If you're not going to shoot it to me, let me know. Because normally when it's over, you drop the work up, but we were done. And Gino took off his makeup, took the came up. I was still jacked up inside. So I love the fact that George may have said that, but, oh shit, no. I had to go to so many places. When I grew up in the South, when you were disciplined, where I grew up, you ever see a movie Django Unchained? I'm gonna whip my ass like a man's leg. Extension cord, naked back up 6 years old. My back is nutted. And the next is, oh, Lord, Jesus Christ. My back is nutted. So, anyway, I'm stopped. But yes, for that movie, in the script, it just, and what got me so much was, see, here in the real world, we always point fingers at who's doing what class over here, but what I knew as a kid was there were good people and there were bad people. When I lived in the South, I had to be careful where I went, on the white side, the black side, on the brown side. And if you were in the wrong place, you always got it. And if you were running home, Mama! My baby mama came outside, and she went, either come inside, or give your ass and sit back outside, and stay outside, like that. And that's what they did today, because they have to work. So anyway, I hope I answered the question. But yeah, organically sometimes you can go. Sometimes the director will, they have a scene, and you just feel something extra. And you gotta be careful. I was on a series called 90 for 5 years. And it got to the point where my partner, Stephen and I, we wait until we got the scene. Then we wait 1,001. Then we improvise. Now, Sonny Grosso, one of the real men of the Princeton Connection, came up to us and said, he's Italian, but this is not a license. We like what you're doing. It's not a license. Don't be careful. We always look at the rules for the director of the time. And sometimes, we give them some sense, they'll say, we're not going to do that again. Then after a month, they say, do what you do.
very different, and every director has a different style. You know, George, because of his style, he wouldn't let the actors do a lot, bring a lot to it. In the TV world, you have a script, the actors change one line of dialogue, 10 writers will go on set. No, you have to say this. And I remember shooting a scene with Michael Rooker and Scott Wilson and Stephen Young on Walking Dead. I would always let the scene go a little longer because I'd always be interested to see, you know, when the scene ends, I'm always interested to see what happens 10 seconds after the scene ends. So I would kind of let things go. There's a scene, the pudding episode with Carl, where Michelle's walking in the crowd of zombies and she sees the zombie that looks like her. And she has this moment of rage and she kills all the zombies. But I think that day we had 6 or 7 zombie kills budgeted for visual effects. But when she was doing it, it looked so good. I didn't say cut. I just kept going. And Denai went smash here, smash here, smash here. She got out of breath. The zombies are coming. But it was like it fueled her. And then when we cut, she's like, "Look at terrible fuck. I thought I was only supposed to kill 6 or 7 of them." I said, "It looked great." And then, like 2 years ago, she did an interview with a magazine and somebody said, "What was your favorite scene to shoot?" And she said, "That one." She said, because the director, she probably forgot it was me. She said, the director never said cut. And when she was in it, and she was going, and I'm like, this is fucking great. I'm not gonna cut. And sometimes, you know, the actor will be like, "Can I stop now?" "Yeah, sorry, the scene ended 10 minutes ago." But you know, you have to feel it. And I'll just say one last thing, I'll let you guys jump in. The thing that makeup effects people have, that nobody else really has, is we're the first person you meet in the morning. Actors come, Mickey Rourke, Benicio del Toro, whoever. They come, they sit in the makeup chair. We transform them. Then we go to set with them. Touch them up. They act. End of the day, like Eugene said, come back in the trailer, we clean them up again. So you create a bond. And on Walking Dead, season 1, the actors trailer was here, the makeup effects trailer was there. So when the actors would come out of their trailer, the zombies would be coming out of our trailer. And Sarah Callies had nightmares every night because she was seeing this shit. Nobody, they didn't watch zombie movies then. They were actors like, "Oh, we're doing this little TV show." But you have to set up a trust. And a lot of times, the makeup effects people and the actors create a really unique bond that most other people don't have. The directors do, but there are sometimes the directors don't bond with the actors like we do. We work on Sin City. Like make you sit in the chair, we're making you up, don't say a fucking word. I hate it. You trying to glue the makeup, punch your gene on all the time. We would literally put pictures of naked women on the mirror just to distract him for a minute. Hey, look!
Yeah, that works.
It works in 10 seconds. And when you make a movie, the actor trust the director, there's trust in the set. That goes a long way because it creates an environment.
Question for Sean. This way they're talking about improv and things like that, and then the scenes go along. As far as working on some of the smaller films, like when you work with George, and then you have like bigger budget, a lot of 3D green screen stuff, like working on Resident Evil. Can you talk a little bit about the difference? Some people may sort of understand from an actor standpoint the difference in those films and the approach.
I think a lot of it comes from the stress of knowing what your budget, your ended budget is, right? So on a low budget thing, we're just messing around. This is fun, so it's not anything that we're worried about. We're gonna get it, and do we need 12 hours to film one scene? No. But when we get to the big budget shit, like you gotta have your A game on because so many people have put so much money into this, and just say the fucking words and stand on the mark, man. So I just try and do that because I'm not here to waste people's time or money. The other side of that is the independent films can be a lot more fun because you are playing, and then the big budget movies you're there to do work. At least that's how it feels in my end. I mean, there's a responsibility that we all share to get to the end of the day, but when there's not $100 million on the line, let's have a laugh. Let's
Okay? And some of you guys are like very dominant and your wife is submissive. Be careful. As far as in the Walking Dead, how often do you guys have last resurrection?
No, in the TV world, there's not a lot of opportunities. Now, what does happen sometimes is the actors will read the scene. You know, you get the script like 2 weeks before you shoot, and then you don't have time for rehearsals in TV. Sometimes you'll do a table read, and you'll sit with all the actors and you'll read through the script. And sometimes the actors will get on set and they'll like look at the sides and they'll be like, why would I say that? And then it's an hour conversation where you have to deconstruct everything. That's the worst case scenario. You really never want that to happen. But you're also in a situation in TV. The actors have lived with these characters for 6, 7, 8 years, and then a new director shows up who's never watched the show. This is their first time on set, and they're like, oh, so in this scene, Daryl should walk up and kiss Maggie. Wait, what? Daryl? No, that's... I mean, that never happened, but that would be an example. And then the actors would be like, no, that's not right. Or the director would have an idea. Hey, what if we did something like this? Maybe Negan and Maggie are caught in the backseat of a car. Like, no, have you ever watched the show? Yeah. So you know, look, the television world really in the last 20 years, between Mad Men, Breaking Bad, Game of Thrones, Walking Dead, has elevated the art of storytelling. If Walking Dead had been a 2-hour movie, people would never fallen in love with Daryl or Carol or Rick because he would have started and ended. So what television allows all of us to do is get invested in these characters. That's why everybody does sequels. Basically, sequels are just really expensive TV shows. You know, Marvel stuff. They're just like, oh, let's keep telling the story. Well, that's what TV does. You know, Breaking Bad, best show, Sopranos, all the shit that we watch all the time. But that also means that when you're doing a movie, you have less time to develop those characters. You have less time to tell the story. You're telling it in 2 hours versus 16 hours. And it's a lot harder. Those moments, those scenes, every scene is important. Every word is critical. If you ever read a script by Frank Darabont, it will probably be the greatest script you'll ever read. Because he's one of the greatest writers of our generation. If you read Shawshank Redemption, you read The Green Mile, you read those scripts. It's so meticulously crafted. I mean, The Green Mile is probably one of the best written scripts and the best made movies of our generation. It's only 2 hours. You know everything about John Coffey, you know everything about Tom Hanks' character, you know everything about every one of those characters. It's just threading that needle. So the art form of making movies now is different. I talked about this a little bit yesterday, but now you have TV shows where you can explore, oh, now this is that, what happened? Oh, you need to know about this backstory, that backstory. So the TV shows tend to meander all over. But it's just a different way of telling stories. The movie sphere is more fun because it takes you on a beginning, middle, and end to focus. Yeah. But still, when it's done well, you know, Jaws, you know, those movies are done well. You learn about Clint's backstory because he talks about the Indianapolis speech. One speech tells you everything you need to know about that guy in the entire movie.
So, just really quickly, what did you really feel like the network laid off and really let you guys just go?
You know, on Walking Dead, the network, we only did 6 episodes in the first season. Frank Darabont, Gail Amber, we rarely got notes. Yeah, they were just like, whatever, what's a zombie? What is it? They didn't even know what the show was. The first couple seasons, they really they would give notes on the script, but they let us go. Later, it was when you have all these moronic junior executives who think they know everything about, oh yeah, we read this scene in Walking Dead where these zombies are in a cemetery and they start coming out of the grave. And I'm like, why? How did they get infected? They're in the grave and they're buried. It's not the if it's George Romero, that's a different thing. And they're like, we love this scene where they come out of the grave. I'm like, it doesn't make any sense. It doesn't fit the rules. But they don't know.
Guys, you have more questions out here? I don't to leave you out. Man, you want to go after him?
Can you hear me? My question is regarding makeup. Were you on set the day that the Shaun of the Dead crew came to do their cameo on Land of the Dead? And what was that like?
Yeah, absolutely. When Edgar and Simon came for their cameos on Land of the Dead, it was one of our best, funnest days because we love Shaun of the Dead. And we really felt like they loved George's work, and their movie was almost an homage to George's stuff. So when they came for the cameos, we made them up. So that was like a highlight for us to make up the guys who made Shaun of the Dead. And then it was like they were trapped in that thing. It was like part of the circus or something. But it was a blast working with those guys. And then after we went and did some drinks on Young Street, and it was just as fun.
You know, the funny thing is, Simon's a huge Buck fan, like his favorite character. So they came to the shop in LA, we cast Simon's face and sculpted a Bub makeup on him because we wanted him to look like Bub. The funny story about how I met them, we were shooting Sin City, and there was a thing called Fantastic Fest that Harry Knowles used to do in Austin. And they screened Shaun of the Dead. We used to watch movies in the makeup trailer all the time, and a friend of mine came up to me and said, I just saw the greatest zombie movie in the world. It's called Shaun of the Dead. I never heard of it. So I go online, I'm looking for it, and I find a DVD of it. And I buy the DVD, and we're in the trailer watching it. Quentin Tarantino comes in, I'm like, dude, you gotta see this movie, Shaun of the Dead. Robert Rodriguez, you gotta see this movie, Shaun of the Dead. But 3 weeks later, I find out I had bought a bootleg of the movie. Like, it hadn't come out yet. I just thought we missed it. So I'm like literally showing all these people Shaun of the Dead illegally. So I go to Comic-Con that year, and I meet Simon and Edgar. And they're like, you did more for the publicity of our movie than anybody ever did. Because you put our movie in front of the greatest directors of our generation. And they were so excited that when they toured, they did a little press tour, LA, Austin, Atlanta. They invited me on the press tour with them to do zombie makeup and to go on the tour with them. So of course when Shaun of the Dead came out, I bought 20 tickets. And I put the tickets in an envelope and sent them to Edgar here. I'm like, here, there's the money that I the people I showed Shaun of the Dead to. And Simon and I are still great, great friends. I directed an episode of Daryl Dixon last year, and Simon came to set in France and brought his daughter Tilly. Like when he was shooting Star Trek, he lived at my house for 3 months, and my kids were really little. And my daughter would go into his room, crawl in bed with him when she was 3 years old, and they're like, Uncle Simon, Uncle Simon. And they're like, now, like, is he really our uncle? I'm like, no. Same Norman and Amy, my kids grew up. That's the wild thing that I kind of missed. Their kids too. When our kids were little, they were on. I got a picture of my son holding the Walking Dead slate the day that Michonne takes out the governor's eye with all the fish tanks in the governor. And my son was like 7 years old holding the slate. And I'm like, man, how cool it would have been to be 7 years old on the set of a movie. You know, but now he's like, when in college and his friends are like, is your dad that guy Walking Dead guy? He's like, yeah, whatever, you know. But yeah, so the show, that's how the Shaun of the Dead thing happened. And I still talk to them. I'm supposed to go to the UK in 2 weeks. And I told Simon, I'm like, hey, how far are you from Birmingham? I might be coming in. He's like, I'm an hour and a half. So I still talk to them. What was your question?
Oh, sorry. That's fine. Yeah, zombie
going to set up a green screen and we're going to shoot some zombies in front of green, walking left and walking right. Because George didn't want to edit the gags. He didn't want to edit them, and he thought, oh, I got a great idea. Instead of cutting it like the ratings board would want to cut the shot, he would just put a green screen zombie that would wipe the frame just at the right time to obscure the gore for a split second, just enough so that the ratings board wouldn't cut it. And what's strange is that was 2004, 2005 when the movie premiered. 5 years later, we were doing more shit on TV than George could have done. Because again, George, I think, with Walking Dead, there was a stigma. The stigma is zombie movies are inherently boring. Now, that started with Night of the Dead and Dawn of the Dead. Then, Dawn of the Dead came out, there's all those copycat movies, all the Italian, Gates of Hell and Zombie, that were really gory. That really wasn't what George was doing. George was using the gore to make a statement, but a lot of people thought, oh, zombie movie equals gore. And that's one of the reasons why gory stuff hadn't really broached the mainstream. And then when you put Frank Darabont, he puts great ensemble casts together, like the movies I talked about. You put a great ensemble cast and you put them in that world. There was gorier stuff that you probably remember, but you get swept up in the characters. And that's what you want for any movie, a zombie movie or zombie TV show. Look, the Glenn death was, without a doubt, the turning point in the show. One that I had always pushed against, but we shot it like the comic book. And the whole point was it was a graphic, disturbing snapshot as to who these people were. And yeah, you could have recut that episode and taken the gore stuff out. It really wouldn't have changed the fact that it was a character named Glenn that you loved that was brutally killed. Whether you saw it in high detail or the camera was really far away and it was like you were witnessing an execution, it still would have had the same effect because you still killed the character that people love. And that was really what everybody objected to. I would be, now that we're saying this, I would be really curious to recut that episode now and take the gory stuff out and show it to somebody that had never seen it and see how they would react to it. Because it's the fact that he was the most relatable, I was the most relatable character in The Walking Dead. Because it wasn't Terrell, it wasn't Rick, it wasn't Shane, but he was the one that really the everyday person related to because he was the everyday character. But look, the gory stuff, it is a staple to zombie movies. And I think, one of the things about The Walking Dead is it allowed us to make the gory stuff more mainstream, but it also allowed the whole zombie genre to become more mainstream. And between that and video games, which video games is the first thing, you really think about Resident Evil and House of the Dead, those two movies put guns, play guns, into the player's hands. It became a first-person shooter game. And we were doing since Spy Kids. In 2000, I had a Sega Genesis game in our makeup trailer, and we would go in the back and we would be shooting zombies. That was in 2000. That was before Resident Evil movie came out, before 28 Days Later, and that was the turning point because that also made the zombie genre more accessible to younger people because then younger people were playing video games and allowing you to shoot zombies. And that really was the turning point to sort of reinvigorating the zombie genre from George's movies into the early 2000s and forward.
I thought because you guys were behind the scenes. No, it might go. I don't know. I signed up for 2 additional movies at the time. So I have no idea where we did it. I was hoping we did to hear somebody show kicking somebody's ass. Okay, I'll tell you what I think I'm going to do. You guys had, what's the character? Had a bat. Yeah. I wanted to go, maybe that is Big Daddy, I wanted to come as an intelligent zombie, and it's never that just jacking his ass off. Don't kill him because people love him, but every now and then I wanted to have like a zombie just kick somebody's ass, look at them, and set their ass off, but you never knew when he was going to come in and mess somebody up. You know what I mean? Like, no, you've gone too far. I'm always on your ass, right? So, but as a recreational person, I have no idea. If they ever do that, I would love to do it, but I'd love to do it for the next 10 years. Because after that, actually, you know what? I don't know if that's over yet. I'll do it. Yeah. I don't know what's going on. Maybe they know.
With all the big names that was on the set, who was the biggest jokester and what was some of the most memorable gags that was on the set?
For sure.
Later in the day.
There was no gangster, no gangsters. There were no one played tricks when I was around.
So you mean to tell me when John Leguizamo and everybody in the cast?
John Leguizamo?
Yeah, nobody messed around, nobody joked around, everybody was all serious and stuff. I mean, nobody
I don't really remember anything that was funny. John may have been humorous in the trailer a little bit, but the set work was not funny. I mean, we were busy. There wasn't a lot of laughing.
It was winter.
Yeah, it was rough.
Really winter. What a guy, right? No, really. And then we shot at night. And then one day I was exhausted. I was back to sleep. And John said, "Come, watch the ball."
I'm sure if I go back and look at all my video footage, we shot we would always shoot tests and stuff. We had some fun. But, like I said yesterday, there was a lot of pressure on George. It wasn't the most like set. And I think George was under pressure and that filtered down. It was also an exciting time. I think that the crazy thing that I remember about the night shoot was we were always shooting outside of Toronto, and we were all living in some place. So we would wrap at 5 o'clock in the morning, clean everybody up, and then we'd be stuck in traffic on the way into Toronto with me. It would take 2 hours. You go to work at 4 in the afternoon, start shooting at 7 at night, wrap at 5 in the morning, and then you get in traffic and you sit for 2 hours. So you go from 4 in the afternoon to 9 o'clock the next morning. That was fucking brutal. The sun, and your sun right in your car.
I'm freaking out just you saying it. Oh my god, I can't even remember.
That was kind of
It was rough. And when you're exhausted and you're traffic, it sucks to drive in traffic anyway. Just put 15 hours of work in front of it. Yeah, it was rough.
I think the fun part was always us walking into the lobby of the hotel covered in fake blood while everybody was sitting there having breakfast. Remember the restaurant was right to the right? And we'd be kind of like, we just looked like we serial killer who murdered people. And we would just walk through, get in the elevator, like this would be coming down, all ready for breakfast, and she's in me and Gina.
There's one thing that is not funny. It wasn't funny then, but it's funny now. Is at the end, I used to be so emotionally messed up that I would go The special effects makeup was so, I thought this was I've never done. It was so authentic. And most importantly, you can't hide behind this thing. Whatever you're thinking and feeling, they can see. And when Gino finished making me up, I looked at him and was like, God! Damn! I didn't want to be mean in the alley. Like that. So, like, oh, and the contacts hurt so bad. For the longest, I had to have my hand on somebody to lead me into the thing, onto the set. I found that funny. It's like, you know what? This big black guy walking me with these contacts and I can't see this shit. And I'm supposed to be like, oh! But no, it wasn't. We watched it again, we were in the water. This was funny for somebody. It was so cold, I had a wetsuit, every muscle in my body was jumping. If you see the look on my face, I was acting, I was pissed.
But we shot that. However, that was day one of shooting. We did inserts because the idea was when Big Daddy's head comes up out of the water, that was Apocalypse Now. That was George's homage to Apocalypse Now. We set up a swimming pool on stage that was heated, which I shot because I was the second unit director on the movie. And we'd been outside, freezing our asses off, and then one day we were like, oh, we gotta shoot pickups of all the zombies, and we had to put the contact because we needed to see their eyes, and we're like, they might float away. If you open your eyes underwater, it's a very good chance that you're gonna come out of your eyes, the lenses will be gone, and they cost $1,000 a set. So we had to be really careful with you. We actually, I don't know if you remember this, we made a fake head of Eugene with the eyes open because we didn't even know if he would be able to raise his head out of the water without blinking. Because the idea is zombies don't blink. They don't have condensation in their mouths and they don't blink because the water doesn't blink because you're re-moistening your eyes. Zombies are dead. So that was one thing George and I talked about. We made a fake head. We put it in the water, and there was a backup plan. Okay, backup plan to fake head of Eugene. To have it come out of the water, but then I'm like, hey, fuck it, we're here. Let's try it. We're gonna do it anyway. We just have to, I remember saying to Gino, like, just be ready, guys. Those contact lenses might be floating around in the pool. We gotta make sure that we get it. And we got it. The shot was magnificent, and George was so excited. Because when we shot the first time, we were in the wave pool outside of Toronto with 200 extras. And that was literally our fucking first night of shooting. All the zombies are coming up and walking out of the water. So you remember that?
Craig remembers every detail of everything. It's amazing. But that night where we were outside in the wave pool, Eugene and a bunch of background, I mean, he did a great job. He literally quit it on the spot. I can't do this.
Because they didn't have lights.
Can't do this. Just do it. It was 30-degree water.
If your background has water, you gotta equip yourself. Get a wetsuit. Bring a wetsuit. I had one on. Most people jumping, but I wasn't getting out of the water. There's one thing. When you're on the set, being prepared, you want to make sure that you're not the one messing up. You want to make sure that you get one take or two takes, because that means they will call you again sometimes, right? But, and the water is so freezing and you just, it was cold. So people jumped out.
Yeah, some of the background that were behind him, like extras and stuff, they would do a couple takes and just put their hand up like, can't do it. Like I'm done, my legs are frozen, I can't even move them anymore. Then you run the risk of really injuring somebody with hypothermia, so we pull right out, shoot around that missing person, whatever. It's the way it goes. Movie making is not easy.
And I think one of the things that we did that started, we do it all the time. You're on set, you get all the makeup people around, and you just, you start shooting the shit, waiting for them to set up the next shot, and everyone's got people in chairs. So when they would rehearse, I don't even remember this. We used to name the zombie walks. Like one guy would be Frankenstein, and there'd be another guy who would drag his feet. It was like Ice Skater. And then there was the one guy we called Get the Hell Out of My Yard because he was very aggressive. So we used to sit there and name the, do you remember that? We were on the side street in downtown. And that was how, because George said to me, which I remember now, you can never demonstrate a zombie walk for a crowd of people. Because if you do, they'll all do the same thing. So you can never show a zombie what to do. So every one of them, you'd be like, okay, here's a zombie, go from here to there. And then they would do it, and then you'd see the ones that your eye goes to, and we'd have to go up. Walking Dead for 15 years. Dude, stop dragging your feet. You look like Frankenstein, you gotta. So every take, George never gave any of the zombies direction. He would look to us. He looked at me, and then I would look at these guys because they were all watching. But I remember him saying, on there, he said, I never gave the zombies direction. Because if you give one person direction, all 50 people are going to do the exact same thing. And they all have to be different.
We'll answer your question. You mentioned about good times. This goes back to Eugene. I did his makeup for the show, and we got into a rhythm after a while. I remember you would come in. He's a bigger man. I would lay down in the chair, and Eugene would just sleep through the whole thing. And I just put on some mellow music, and it was like your best 2 hours of the day. He would just chill. I would only wake him up when I had to paint the back of his head.
Best 2 hours ever. I should walk that chair.
And I remember he'd always get up. I'd whisper, Eugene, you got to do the back of your head, and he'd kind of lean up, still a little sleepy. I'd paint the back of his head, do his hands, and then I just kind of soft voice, okay, you're done. And he would just,
oh, you should record that on his phone. You should just use the soothing voice. Eugene, come to paint the back of your head. It'd just be like that. There you go.
Thank you very much, guys. I appreciate your time.
Thank you, everybody.
So how many people are in this audience as this is your first time to the mall? Okay, that's awesome. Yeah. Is it anybody's first time to Living Dead Weekend? Okay, a few hands. All right. That's a lot. So the reason I always have been asking, all weekend I've been asking that because there's a lot of times we've done these panels for a long time. Right. And I know I've asked you guys the same questions, but a lot of times if we've got new people, it's not covering all the ground for them. So if you don't mind, we'll just start with the good old basic. How did you guys meet George and get involved to begin with?
Okay, good. That's an easy one.
Start at the beginning.
Okay, so I had just basically graduated from film school. I wanted to be a filmmaker, and I did everything, like shooting, 16, editing. I love being around people. I love the creative process. And I actually read the newspaper every day. Remember those things, newspapers that used to get delivered to your house? This is all retro. Anyway, I used to read the theater section first. And the theater section said, George Romero, Dawn of the Dead, we're going to start filming soon. I was like, oh God. I saw Night of the Living Dead when I was a kid, and I laughed through the whole thing, because I thought, they got it right. The zombies were creepy, scary, horrible things. I brought a couple of my friends with me just so I could scare them the whole time. Anyway, 10 years later, I'm reading this article, and I think, got to get my resume together, go downtown on a trolley, and walk into the office. I didn't know who was going to be there or not there, so I got my resume, went into town, went up in this elevator doors open, dramatic pause. This tall guy's walking toward me. I don't know who he is. I don't know what George Romero even looks like. I say, hey man, would you give George Romero my resume? And George goes, hey man, I'm George. And he goes, come over and sit down. So we sit down, we talk about filmmaking and editing for like, I don't know, 20 minutes, half an hour. I was in some other zone talking with George Romero, right? And then a week later I get a phone call. you're hired to work as a grip on the film. And I'm like, yeah, wow. So then that was my moment of meeting George, becoming involved with Dawn of the Dead. And I was the envy of all my friends who were filmmakers or wanted to be filmmakers. They were like, oh, how did you do that? I said, I stepped out the door and I went downtown and I met him. You know, good old fashioned, like just go to the place. Which it's hard to do now because you have to email everything or text everything or, you know, whatever, social media, everything.
That's so much more challenging because, you know, you can form the nicest letter and, you know, email, even a paper letter, doesn't matter. And it's always going to be read in the mood the reader is in. There's no voice inflection, there's no personality. And if they're in a shit mood, they're going to read it in that way. You know, you can't raise them up with your good attitude or anything. And so there's a lot of challenge now. You guys had that opportunity.
Yeah, I was lucky too. In 1977, I was a graphic artist for an art studio that happened to be about 5 buildings down from the building that George's offices were in. And I had just published my own book, my first book called The Collector's Guide to Monster Magazines. And it had just come out. And I had gone to lunch, and when I came back, Tom Savini and Jeannie Jeffries were both sitting there waiting for me because Tom had picked up a copy of my book at a local comic store, and he had a box full of famous monsters that he collected, that he came to meet me to show me his collection of famous monsters. And Jeannie was a big-time model in the city at that time, 96 Kicks Call Girl, the Iron City Beer Girl, and they were dating at the time. So that's where we met. And then it just so happened, again, a couple of weeks later, he got in touch with me to let me know, hey, you know, we're doing this movie with George, and we need a bunch of zombies. You know, you guys want to come out. So most of the guys that I work with, the people that we work with, all came out here, you know, for the night to just become zombies. And later on, and George was a wonderful guy, you know, but Jeannie did my makeup and John did my makeup for this. And because I knew them, I got to be a special zombie with close up and everything. Not too long after that, I was publishing Questar magazine, and we actually moved our offices into the same building as George. So we were on the first floor, and George was up on 5, I think. And Rick Catazone from the animators, they were like on the 3rd floor, so we were all in the same building. So it was, and that's where everything, you know, came to be. I played 2 zombies in the movie. You know, the scope zombie is what I'm most known for. But then I was in another scene outside when all of us converge on Mousy when he comes out of the mall. So, you know, it was double fun. The one thing he didn't say about when you went up the elevator into George's offices, when that elevator opened, you weren't looking for a door to go in. It opened right into their offices, right into their reception area.
It was that way. I mean, it was just like George, the doors opened and there was George walking toward me. And I don't think I thought about it one way or the other. I was just happy, you know, at that moment. You know, and George was like, he was a, you know, like, we reflect on something that happened a long time ago. But he was just, for us, very easy going, easy to work with. I mean, you could see he had the work ethic. He was very intent about what he was doing. But like, you know, you could talk to George. I mean, one night, before we started shooting here at the mall, we didn't shoot only at the mall, we shot other places too, but at the mall. So George had this 16mm camera and no sound. It was a film camera, 16mm film camera. And I guess I just happened to walk past him or toward him. And he said, Lenny, you know how to operate this camera? I said, yeah. He said, so go upstairs. We were downstairs, go upstairs. And I want you to film like point of view of the ceiling. You know, just wildly. Don't film anybody walking because the mall was still open to the public at that moment. So what he wanted me to do was just film wildly in different directions of the ceiling. And then he was going to cut that to the zombies, gave me a weird walk, you know. And so I went upstairs and I just shot all the stuff. I felt really stupid because it looked like I didn't know what I was doing. Because I wasn't filming any people, it looked like I was just filming the ceiling. But it was kind of cool because, you know, George would just spontaneously do something. I mean, you know, one day we were just out and we were in between scenes and we were waiting for the actors and the other technicians, and there was this red dome light, like on an ambulance, you know, it just goes around and flashes. He got this idea, so he grabs the camera. He said, Lenny, come over here and spot me. So he climbs up on the ladder on the ambulance, and he's filming it. He wanted me to spot him so he wouldn't fall off. And I was just standing there, but it was just like, it was like someone asking their friend, hey, come over here and spot me on the ladder. It wasn't like this dictator director. It was just like this really friendly guy, and it happened all the time. And you could approach him and say, hey George, how's your day going? Or is today going the way you want? He would tell you if it wasn't, it wasn't. And sometimes you knew it wasn't, so you left it alone. But there, you know, I worked on Night Riders as well with him, which came up a couple of years later. And you know, there were obvious times when things weren't working, but he wouldn't become like a tyrant. He would just deal with it and move on and get what we needed. So he was just very likable, and it created this atmosphere of everybody being connected, and we were all sort of, it wasn't like I am working for George, we were like all working together. It was always a we, and that's why there's such a wonderful brotherhood amongst all the people that worked together at that time.
If we could take it off ramp just a little bit, you said, yeah, let's talk about your publishing. Was that always going to be your aim? Did you want to? I know you said you went to art school, right? Did you went to art school?
I went to a summer course at the Art Institute.
Was the aim to do art, or were you wanting to get into publishing?
Well, originally as a kid, I always wanted to be an artist. But at the same time, you know, I collected famous monsters. That was what we did. And so my personal goal was, geez, someday I want to be able to publish a magazine like that. You know, so eventually, you know, I got to be able to do that. So I had the best of both worlds. You know, I started with the Collector's Guide. I tried to get companies in New York to publish it. Nobody would, so I found a way to do it myself. You know, and then once I had published that, there was another fellow in Pittsburgh that had just started Questar magazine, Bill Wilson, and he had done the first two issues, and we were using a printer. Actually, it was Marty Schiff's uncle that we were both using, but we didn't know each other. So he said, hey, I got this other guy, you know, so he put us together, and we bonded. So with the third issue, I got involved with Questar, and we turned it more from comic-oriented into more film-oriented, and art and illustration. So, you know, I got involved with that. And Bill did most of the editorial, and I did most of the art direction design. So it was a good combination. So we did 13 issues of that.
So back then, we were literally doing it all by hand, right?
All by hand. There was no
Ruby Lift and everything.
Ruby Lift, rubber cement, you know, ordering the type, doing
Zipatone here.
Zipatone, and you know,
I caught the tail end of that, and I got to get my hands on all that. I'm thankful for it.
Yeah.
You know, what I do, it's like, you know, I got to have a taste of that world before we use computers.
And
so I love that.
Rubber cement to hot wax.
Yeah.
It's great.
Yeah.
So we got to do all of that, and you know, you really had to know what you were doing. You had to call out the colors that you were going to do and everything, and know the whole spectrum. So that was fun. And then since we were working with George, I was able to license the Dawn of the Dead poster book. So we came out with that. And the funny story about that was, you know, we got it printed in time for when they premiered the movie downtown. So we had a couple cases of it there at the theater. So, well, how about you sell it at the concession stand so we get an idea of what people think about it. So we're sitting in the theater, and it was going to be a packed house because it was the premiere. And then we're watching everyone come in with these poster books, and it's like, oh my God, we're going to make a fortune. And so at the end of the night, we went to the concession stand to try and collect, and here, whoever was at the concession stand thought they were the program board. So they were giving them out to everyone that came in. So,
does anybody here have a copy of the Dawn of the Dead poster book? Anybody? Yes. Yeah.
Very cool. They're pretty rare now.
It's great, isn't it? It is. It's great.
It's pretty rare.
Really short. I don't want to intrude, but I have a parallel story in that when they did the 50th anniversary of Night, Image 10 had me created to go coincide with that when they showed it at the Biome.
Okay.
Here's the funny thing. They gave them out. Same thing. So all the books got given away.
So the same person was still working that concession.
It's like, number one, what's the chance we both get a book for the book movie? And then the same thing. Gary was...
There was a definite conspiracy. There it is.
Yeah. Gary was not happy.
Yeah, I'm sure. Well, that cover of the poster book then ended up being used as the cover of the first VHS release.
Right. Yeah.
So it's the one that most people seem to remember.
Yeah, you remember the VHS, you've seen the poster book.
Right.
Yeah. Hey, can we talk a little bit about, since, we're this many years removed from these, like silly little horror films, but we know they're not, because, there's not many Gone with the Wind conventions, But, something that George put together with all you guys, this group of people came together and made something that means so much to people. Can we just touch on, just George and what he did to sort of lead the charge? Because, seriously, we're sitting in a mall, half a decade later, talking about zombies. There's something to be said for that. There's nobody sitting in the mall or in a convention center talking about Titanic, Gone with the Wind.
Where's the mall?
Yeah, seriously. That's huge. It's like it's this cultural thing. There's such a connective tissue there.
It's its own phenomenon, right? And I was talking to some people about this earlier. And I always do ask people, why are you even here? Because, part of my film production background is I've interviewed like 300 or 400 people, lots of really serious subjects, from traumatic brain injury, which is no joke, to massive violence survivors. And and people say, I've watched it 200 times, 300 times, 400 times. You can stand up. And I wonder, where do they get the time? And it's not like they're just sitting there watching it. It's on in the background. And they're hearing it in their heads. Because they've watched it so many times, they know every single frame, right? And it's like its own kind of comfort food only for your head and your body. There's just something about it. It's like your favorite piece of orchestral music that you listen to over and over, or your favorite R&B, or your favorite car that you drove in when you were a kid, like an old Thunderbird, and you get to sit in it, and you just feel that comfort around your body. There's just something special about that moment, especially when a car has just been washed. So that's what the movie does. It's like it's a special comfort zone. And it's not about flesh-eating zombies so much as a story about people surviving, and you figure out who you are in the film, right? And you can be Galen or the guys, or you can be the guys who are on the motorcycle. But you can be them surviving. But it's just like it's familiarity. You get to know the postal guy who takes your mail every day for like 20 years. You don't even know their last name, and then you have a conversation and you get to know them. So the movie's like that person is kind of a constant, and it's a good feeling. And then when they're out on vacation and somebody else is delivering their mail, it's like the wrong movie. Like, it's a really good movie, but it's not your favorite movie, that one that makes you feel good in your skin.
I think, I've been lucky because I also went on, I published 2 different volumes of Tom Savini's Grand Illusions and the Trading Card Set, and I never did film book, Dick Smith's makeup book, excuse me. But one of the other things that I'm proud of is that I also put on the Zombie Jamboree in 1993 here in Monroeville again. And even then, and that was the first time the cast from that film had ever been reunited. So it was a huge event, people from all over the world came. But when we were putting it together, we weren't sure even then that there was going to be enough people that really cared about Night of the Dead. So that's why we had Adam West there, we had David Prowse, Darth Vader, we had the Batmobile, the Monsters coach, and everything else. But it did turn out that most people were there for the Night of the Dead cast. And I think that's what started a lot of this too, because it was the catalyst.
Weird question for that. Which Monsters coach was it? Was it the Monsters coach or was it Butch's?
No.
Because Butch's got it.
Yeah, it wasn't Butch's at the time. There was a fellow out of Eastern Pennsylvania that owned both of those vehicles, and they brought them in. His name was Victor or something. I can't remember. But he brought them in. That's
the ones he has now.
It might be now.
Yeah.
But so it was and it was also a multimedia 3-day event. It wasn't just like the shows you see now at the Expo Mart. But we had the gold passes where you actually were bussed down to the Gateway Clipper, and we did a zombie cruise one night. We did a pre-premiere of the movie with the red carpet and limos at what is now a Best Buy, but it was the theater here at the mall at the time. So there was a number of things that you got with that ticket, and I think we were probably the first ones to do things like that. We also had a photo booth. No one ever heard of photo ops back then. And we were only charging for the prints, not for the opportunity for the picture. And I don't know if anybody was charging for autographs. I think Adam West was. And people were selling.
I don't doubt that Adam West was.
Huh?
I don't doubt that Adam West was.
His manager was, But Carl and Marilyn, I think they were more like, they were selling items they had put together for the Zombie Jamboree, a scrapbook, and pet food, I think, and everything else. So everybody, it was the first time everybody put stuff together to sell it and go to the show. So I think that's what's happening. And George was just there signing as long as the line was forever. Everybody got what they wanted signed.
He was that guy.
He was.
Do you guys have any questions in the audience? I don't want to leave you guys out. Just come up to the microphone and you can ask anything from how's the weather to something about the movies.
They kind of know that they're going the wrong way.
Yeah,
scared.
Wrong way. I had like can you speak a little closer to the microphone? Just some ambience.
I'm from the Netherlands, so
the Netherlands.
Yeah,
Killer Theater.
Europe. I was wondering what happened between the filming. Was it like catering, or because it was filmed, it took a couple of hours? Was it like catering? What did you do between the filming?
Well, here in the mall.
Yes.
Like downtime? Like basically downtime?
Yes.
They had a huge room that was here. I don't forget what the room is called, but that's where everyone was getting made up, and we pretty much all hung around.
It was the community room.
The community room. So we hung around a lot in there, and a lot of people. They had a lot of stations where people were being made up, or the special effects were being done there until they called you out, and when they were in the mall at the same time, they were doing the setup for the other shots or the cleanup from the previous shot. So there was a lot of different things going on at the same time.
But we were never here when the mall was open.
Yeah,
so like we would come here at night and go to the community room, and we would talk about what we were going to do that night. And then when everybody was out, who was supposed to be out, and it was just a crew. And then we would take the place over, and we'd lay down our lighting cable, and there'd be 5 or 6 people being made up as zombies. Because, it depends on whether it was a crowd night where there were lots of zombies, and then some nights there were just a couple. And so they'd be made up, and we'd have them do their piece, or they were maybe they were bikers. They'd run down the corridor shooting, and that would all be cut in later with all the other nights that were put together with the bikers. Because it wasn't like all the bikers were there all at once, all the time, right? And that's the magic of film, right? It's like, whenever they were crawling through the ductwork to get into the mall, the ductwork wasn't even here. All that ductwork was built as one separate entity downtown at the studio in the basement. So, like Ken Ferrer, whoever was crawling through the ductwork, they'd have to have on that night from that action outfit, and then they'd have them crawl for continuity-wise, and then it would come out, and then it looked like they were coming down into the mall, right? And then they'd have to change clothes each night or each day or whatever the change of clothes was, which is really complicated, because you have to know what night we're shooting what duct piece over time. And I can't even imagine how they did that, but it was pretty complicated, but they did it. And then there were things like, Flyboy, David Envy, what a nice guy. But I wish he was still here. David, he's supposed to be like this doofus, right? He doesn't know how to shoot a rifle. He knows how to fly a helicopter, but he can't figure out a rifle. Think about that. So he was actually a Vietnam veteran. And he was the only one of the actors who actually knew how to shoot a rifle. And I'd tell David, because we did a couple of mall tours early on. And so, David, tell him what you did. Come on, tell me you're a real guy, And he was very modest, and he would talk to people about, actually, he was trained to shoot a rifle, and I knew how to shoot, I was pretty good at it, And so there's a lot of things, the other guys, they have to be shown how to use the rifle. And we actually, there was a Clayton Hill who played Escalator or something. He was actually a weapons coordinator at one point. And he actually found a live bullet in one of the rifles one night. Fortunately, it was taken away before any harm was done. So, movies are fictitious, they're created to make it look like it's all real, but there's a lot of unrealities. Of course, they have to shoot a movie somewhere, and then we use Pittsburgh as a body double for places that look like it could be in New York or Montreal, shooting Montreal for Pittsburgh. And that's what's exciting about Dawn, all the interesting things we did to make it look like somewhere else. Like, we're down in the, what do you call it, the boiler room. This is supposed to be where the nuclear power building is, It has nothing to do with nuclear power at all. But we were so stupid back in 1978 about these things. They could say anything they wanted here at the mall.
The cool thing about the boiler room, it sounds exactly like the boiler room in the movie. If you go in there, it's that ominous. It's still there.
Still there. The boiler room is still there. So if you ever, have you been there? Did you go on a tour? No, okay.
And speaking of live ammunition, Tom and Tasso literally shot live ammo on the ice rink. Shots, there was live ammunition shot in this mall for the film.
Okay, I don't know that story.
You didn't know that? Yeah. Tom, when you see them shooting the mannequins on the ice rink, the shots being fired are Tom and Tasso shooting live ammunition.
Well, I guess it'd be easier than inflating your head.
They literally shot live ammunition.
I can believe that about Tom.
Yeah.
Tom and Tasso, if you know them.
I do.
You don't doubt me. How do you doubt that story?
A real quick fun story was that the night that I got the head shot, it was a long night. We were here, until probably 6 and 7 in the morning.
Always.
And so we were all starving. So back then there was a pancake house across the street from the mall. And so we all decided to go there to eat. Well, we were still all in makeup. And you have to realize, most people had no clue anything was happening in this Mall that there was a film being made. And this was December. This was not Halloween. So we all walk into this pancake place, and their jaws just dropped, until we could explain to them what was going on. Bloody mess.
You really did go in knowing you were all bloody.
We did. We did.
You know you did it on purpose.
They had no. Yes, we did it on purpose. Because it's fun. Because it's fun. And it was fun.
Yeah, I'm sure it was. I would do it. I'd do it now. Any more questions from you guys? All right. We have two. Wonderful.
All right.
Hey, fist fight for it. Fight.
Excuse me. Okay. Do you have any particular memories in regards to Marl? The Marl being such a big character in the film. Do you, walk through any of these hallways now and say, oh, I remember this particular point, or I remember smelling remnants of food from earlier in the day that was made? Do you have any memories from the filming that, are directly tied to Marl?
Well, all the time. I used to live close to here. I live 18 miles away now, but I used to live like 6 miles away in an area called Oakland where Pittsburgh University is. And at that time, I had 2 kids. I have 4 grown men and boys now. And so we come to the mall and shop, like anybody else shopping. And I'd always have these, and the mall was still the mall. It wasn't really changed that much. It might be a shop or two, but it looked exactly identical. So I'd walk over to the boys, and they knew about Dad. They knew about Dad enough, right? I'd say, yeah, here's where Dad got killed. Here's what Elvis is in the background, where the bookstore was. We'd get into it, right? And and so as they got older, here's where Dad got killed, and here's where this happened, and I'd say, oh, there's where Clayton Hill, escalator zombie was, and here's where Ken stood. I'd say, what do you say? Voodoo, like the whole voodoo conversation about his granddad, And Ken would always kid about that. But I can remember the specific place, and then the bridge when it was still here, where Scott was building over the bridge. And, and just where Tossin got his guts ripped out, with the fake lamb guts. And,
blood pressure machine.
He has a blood pressure machine with Tony Nuba. I just saw Tony last week at a film screening for some other people.
I would say, I grew up in Pittsburgh, so we shopped here. So, we all knew the mall, we shopped at Penny's, and same thing, if I come back here, I know exactly where my headshot happened. It was at the top of the escalator on that end. There used to be an echo bag right there in the corner. So, you do have the memories of it.
The big clock used to be over here.
So it was fun, and it was a great mall when it was really at its peak. It had everything in it.
Yeah, it was absolutely pristine, brand new mall when we came here. Like George, I guess, knew the owner, and they worked something out. But this place was brand new. It was the second biggest mall in all of Pittsburgh.
And they let you guys drive motorcycles and cars, shoot live ammunition, chop up heads, guts.
There was like an entrance where the glass shattered and wasn't supposed to. And I remember seeing the producer who was smoking a cigar, and it's kind of like, but that wasn't supposed to happen, so they had to replace the glass. It was just spectacular. Tom dove off the second, level onto mattresses. Not like some kind of airbag. And he hurt himself slightly because his back of his heels landed a little strange, but he was okay. But a lot of things were done, spontaneous. I had never done a stunt. Tom kicked me to the floor. No one said how to fall. I fell on a hard floor.
And Tom probably really kicked you.
Well, we talked about it. I was supposed to wear padding. I said, I won't react if I have padding on. I'll be thinking about the padding instead of about what you're doing. So he comes up and he pulled the kick, and I fell, but I put my hand out, and I probably should have rolled. But no one said, oh, roll. It was just like, okay, Lenny, you're going to be the zombie. It wasn't like we had specific zombie protocol, how to do this, how to do that. And so I just did it. And about, and it worked very successfully. We had no retakes on anything, one take, because there was reversal shots, close-ups, blood shots. Blonde zombie was behind me pumping blood, and like blood tubing was coming up under my shirt into my hair, and it was beautiful, right? And I just was like, I just hoped that I wouldn't be cut out of the film. I just wanted to be in the film so bad. I mean, I was so excited just to be working on the film, but then I thought, I really want to make the film cut. So it was, and then, it's like, what is it, 47 years later, and I'm like, how can I even be 47, let alone it happen 47 years ago?
Talking about being cut out of the film, it's funny, my wife's upstairs right now in my booth. She was also made up the same night as part of our group to be in the movie, and was in part of the scenes, but she ended up being cut out of the film. So there's really, we've never been able to find her in the movie. So now we just call her the cutting room floor zombie.
Oh, Rubenstein, telling us, send a picture.
Yeah.
Good luck.
And she's here if you want to meet her.
It's interesting when you think about the idea of the impending closure of the mall, more than realistically could happen. And it's sort of like, commercialism is swallowing old commercialism, Walmart. It's almost like really Dawn of the Dead, the symbolism and the overreaching, theme of Dawn of the Dead is actually coming to fruition for the mall itself, commercialism wins again.
Oh, I got a funny one for you. So Nick Tallow, who died a couple of years ago, he was one of the bikers, but also Key Grip, he was the one that told us what to do. He was great. Nick was funny as hell. And he was the one, the biker with the glasses and the bandana, right? So we're doing a show. This is about, 8 or 10 years ago, not too far along, not too long ago. So he sees all this stuff on my table, because I'm just like into the craft of it. And he goes, Lenny, my God, they shouldn't call you Machete Zombie, they should call you Walmart Zombie. And I thought, Nick's words have come true in a sad way. So Nick, we're wherever you are in heaven or beyond, your words have become true.
He's not here. If you guys remember Nick in the film, Nick was also the stage manager for the Mr. Rogers show, pretty much the whole run, if not the whole run. And every time Mr. McFeely or somebody would come and knock on the door, there was a door there. The door was a prop. And Nick actually built a wooden box that was mic'd, and Nick was the noise that you would hear when Mr. McFeely would drop off the mail or whatever. And I was actually over at Nick's house one night. He's like, you want to knock on Mr. Rogers' door? He's like, come here. So we go upstairs, and there's also the Buddha from Creepshow, and there's the wheelchair from Creepshow. He's like, here. And my wife and I got to knock on Mr. Rogers' door. So I had to share that. But Nick was fantastic.
That's where I met Nick first, was at WQED.
Yeah, okay.
Because I worked there as a production manager for several years, and we were working there at the same time. So that was the first time I met him. The other thing you have to realize is a lot of us didn't know one another back when the movie was made. A lot of us got to know one another through these shows. That's where most of us became friends, is through the camaraderie of the shows at George. Because so much was done on different nights at the mall that a lot of us really had never met before. Meeting
I didn't really get to know you until we started doing the show.
Exactly.
She had a question.
She did.
Was there anything in a script that you were excited to do
film, but it got cut and you were excited about it?
I mean, God, I mean, there was so much shot, you know, and I mean, George was such a superb editor. I mean, I can't think of anything that was cut.
I never had a script. You know, I was just, here's what you're going to do.
You know what? Every one of us, the crew for the whole film, were given a script. So you had to read the script so you knew what was going on, which I think is brilliant. Because if the crew knows what's going on, whether they like it or not, they can't make an excuse that they don't understand what is happening.
And the crew doesn't always, all the crew doesn't always get a script.
Right.
Yeah.
And I still have my original script. Okay, it's in a drawer in my studio. And every so often I was going to page through it. And I still have like nightly notes from what we did each day, or daily notes, depending upon what it was. You know, this film was so different because the crew, there was a pecking order, but not a real one. It's just that you had your job. So there would be like filming done on this day, and then the next day there'd be days where we'd actually all be downtown watching what had been filmed yesterday together as a group. But they called them the dailies.
So you just watch the dailies together?
We watched the dailies together. So George Romero would be there, producer would be there, the crew would be there. I mean, it was an option. For me, it was no option. I was going to be there. And then you'd run into people like Stephen King would be hanging out with George. You're like, hey, Stephen, how's it going? You shake hands and talk to Stephen King. What's his name? The Italian director. Dario Argento with the show on the set. He did Suspiria. And you're like, hey, cool, hey, how you doing? You know, I mean, it's like, and it was just this magical atmosphere where all these people would be coming and going. And then you'd meet all these crazy extras. This one woman, she must have played 10 zombies. She kept changing everything she could. And they finally said, listen, we can't allow you to do it anymore. You're just too recognizable. She was one of the ones that got dragged along with her car in the mall. The Tasso stunt to do for her. But she was that one. And people would just come back and want to do more and more. We started shooting the scenes in the parking lot with all the masked zombies, and it just stuck in my mind, November 7th, right? And it was a beautiful, sun-drenched day. And everybody was wearing shorts, halter tops, just real mellow. And so the zombies were told what to do, when to do it, and trucks would come in and out. And so we were like, okay, listen, this was a long day, a full day, so the next full day for all the zombies is exactly one day from today, next Saturday. Now this is November 7th, so November 14th. So it's freezing cold. And I'm wearing a down coat, I've got a hat on, I've got leggings on, I've got pants on, we're all trying to stay warm because it's freezing. While these people had to wear the same identical clothing for continuity. You can't be wearing a halter top or a bathing suit or a short sleeve shirt. Somebody come in a long sleeve shirt with a jacket. And they're out there turning blue. These zombies, these people are out there turning blue. And not one complaint from one person. They're just out there freezing in between takes. You know, they're trying to stay warm. And they did their job and they were perfect. So the extras, the atmosphere extras, I really think were wonderful. Not one complaint from one person, not ever. And they were also kind of a part of the family. Because they were going to do whatever they had to do to be in this film. Because it had something special going on. We felt it was something special. But we didn't know exactly what that meant until later.
And we were all in our 20s too.
Yeah, I mean, that's 23. Yeah.
I think I was 26 or 27.
Guys, I just realized the time. We need to wrap it up. You guys want to close with anything extra? We've come to the end of our time.
Yeah, we're upstairs on the second floor. come up and say hi if you have questions or you want to take a picture or
Thank you guys for coming.
Go into it.
Appreciate it.
I worked for George for a short amount of time before he passed away, and I got to know all of you guys and some of the other people from Pittsburgh and the area, from Texas. You know, they bring me up every year for 10 years, and I'm not just being nice. I'm being honest. This is such a great area, such a great community, and I've made so many friends here involved in the movies and not. And I'm just so glad that you guys always include me because I always feel. I'm a transplant that shows up once or twice a year, but I genuinely feel like I'm a part of it in my own way, and I always feel so welcome, and I just thank you guys so much.
It's one big family.
And I have been to the Netherlands for one day. I might come back actually. There might be a show in Germany.
Okay guys, now we're making our way to the Living Dead Museum to check out how everything looks in there. Guys, the store looks so cool. We have all of the information right here. We have the hours and also the cost of admission. Guys, and if you're interested in getting some mall artifacts, you have bricks here from the entrance for $100. I've seen different other ones as well in regards to bricks at different price points. I picked up a little bit of marble from the store, so I had to come up with a souvenir. So got shirts, all types of other things. So definitely looking forward to checking out all the cool stuff in here. I love how they have all types of different nods to the movie. Like we even have the trucking company, I believe. So many awesome ones. Have the mall directory. Even have one for the museum. All types of homage to this awesome film. We have all types of cool things. We have decorations here so we can celebrate the holidays. We have Krampus there. All types of cool creep show figures and all of their films that we love, such as Halloween and The Evil Dead, or I should say Army of Darkness to be specific. Okay guys, we are right here. We have just paid for admission to the Living Dead Museum, Pittsburgh's premier horror museum since 2008. I've always wanted to come and check out this museum, and glad that you guys are with me. Guys, you have all types of cool zombies waiting to greet you, and you have signatures from previous Living Dead weekends. I hope they will continue to be had here in this mall, but hey, we know that the spirit will continue to go with the horror fans. It's only appropriate that this mall will come back from the dead, or at least, you know, if you think this convention is going to be ending, you are sadly mistaken, because I'm pretty sure it will be more. So we have here a display here of the making of the Living Dead, so you guys know what to do. Go ahead and press pause. Alright guys, and we have our section here for Night of the Living Dead. You know, the film that started it all off, guys, and changed the concept of zombies forever. All types of pictures, and we have the original zombie right here. Oh man, this is so dope to be able to be a part of this. Oh, we love this radio right here, so iconic. And we have screen used sheriff ammo belt. We even have production used farmhouse interior lights. Wow, actual film history here, guys. Wow, I'm so excited to be here, guys. Okay, we have more advertising from all over the world. Of course, guys, again, it is known as Zombie over in Italy. So that's where you get all the millions of zombie films that are not related. My favorite being Zombie 2, of course. but we get into the different versions of Dawn of the Dead and what makes them different. So you guys know, go ahead and pause. Got the Argento cut, and then the American theatrical cut, and then we talk about subversions of Dawn of the Dead. So we have the Japanese theatrical cut and the Suspiria cut. I mean, everyone's seen so many different versions of this film. And then we have selected quotes from international Dawn of the Dead press reviews. So we got all the different reviews, the good, the bad, and the ugly. So of course, you guys, you know, you can go ahead and press pause. So needless to say, those of them that gave bad reviews were sadly mistaken, because this film totally lives on in all of our minds and hearts. We have screen used, well, not screen used, I should say, costume and head appliance that is recreating the helicopter zombie role that was used for Living Dead Weekend in 2019. Looks fantastic. And we have photos from that time. Very awesome. Alright, I was mistaken with the last prop and said it was screen used, but it was for a photo op. But these are indeed screen used costumes and props. So guys, you will recognize these. We even got like a biker vest back there for the mall raiders. We have the rooftop shootout vest, and we even have motorcycle boots. We have the SWAT team rifle and uniform. And guys, so many awesome things, man. Just to think that these things were kept, man, that's so dope. The prop for the rifle, we have more prop lookalikes. So these are examples of various set pieces that were used during the production. You got that Iron City beer, the Spam, other things that are replicas like the JCPenney portable TV. Oh, that's a cool calendar. And then George Romero saying, I like the beer. All right, why he kept living and making movies in Pittsburgh. Hey, that's, if there's any reason to stay in the city, it's because you like the beer. George was definitely a good guy that tells you anything about him. And we have here some quotes from George. You guys know what to do, of course. Man, guys, I'm so happy to be here right now with you all. Oh, I absolutely love having that in the Scary Sanctuary. But speaking of which, something that I'd love to have as well, we have the original JCPenney Monroeville Mall elevator reconstructed from the original. So you have the doors, the ceiling, the side rails, lights, key panel, button panel, and everything, guys. So as you'll see, there we have it right here. I just wish you wasn't bitten, buddy. And we even have him propped up doing that iconic Flyboy zombie walk. Oh, Flyboy, we love you, man. Hey, so is this elevator going up or down? Okay, and here we have more props. We got some limbs where the blood would be coming out and things. We have pictures from, I believe that's the ice rink. Then we have original soundtrack here in vinyl. Screen used JCPenney alarm bell. Oh man, all of these props. I'm so glad to check it out. Tom Savini cutout machete from an unidentified production. Well, it comes from Savini, so that definitely belongs being here. Look at this picture of George right here. That is a dope picture. Man, I miss this guy, man. I wish I could have met him. Got more originals. Studio lights. Physical media here. So, I mean, like I said, guys, this film went out all over the world. Here we have some pictures of what the mall looked like. And we get some Dawn of the Dead trivia. So, guys, let's see if we can read those. Some interesting tidbits about the film. So you guys know what to do there. just want to make sure to get all of these so that you guys can check it out. Let's see, some more right here. I love how they've like curated all of these items from the time, like a negative mall map print. You would have a security guard uniform from about that time of filming. So these would have been what the guys who were protecting the mall would have looked like. So those guys would have been zombified very quickly. It's an original interior mall light fixture. So beautiful, and those are autographed. I see Tom Savini's autograph on that. Man, guys. And we have cool dioramas here. Those are cool, man. I love it. Even got the fountain there. So needless to say, there was some fan of the film that really made sure to capture all the authenticity. And here we have another room that is more about other things in regards to George's life and this period and what he was up to. From the 70s and the early 80s. And he was doing things like the Crazies, Creep Show. Speaking of the Crazies, we have a little nook here in tribute to the Crazies. I think it was a phenomenal film, you know, very good premise in regards to like how a town actually reacts to an outbreak. And I think the remake is absolutely, I mean, a phenomenal film. I think it's one of the better remakes out there. So the 70s he did, you know, the Crazies, and we get other films of his like Night Riders, which is a very fun film. Got the Little John vest worn by Ken Foree. Got production scripts. Got Tom Savini right there. Yeah, if you guys haven't seen Night Riders, definitely make sure to check that out. It's a fun film. And then we of course have Creep Show. Oh man, I love Creep Show. Planning on seeing the Creep Show house right after this as a quick little you know, side quest. That's like my favorite scene from Day of the Dead, where the hand's coming out. I'm like hearing the music in my head. Love that prop replica for Father's Day. I got my cake. And as you can see, guys, there's tons of fans. You know, they've done like dioramas and all types of tributes. Man, this is such a awesome place. And then we got a screen used, the Crazies door, man. And then here we have the filmography of the man. So you guys should check these out. The fact that he did picture segments of Mr. Rogers. And I'm glad that the amusement park is starting to get out there. More people are starting to watch that, because for the longest, you know, it was just not able to be seen. And now there's an amusement park comic book that I really need to check out, because I've heard some really good things about it. Oh man, we really appreciate your work, George, that's for sure. And here we have Land of the Dead. Now I think this film is probably the film out of all of George's films that probably needs to be re-evaluated the most. I remember seeing it when it came out. I wasn't the biggest fan of it, but upon rewatching it a few times, I've grown to actually really like it a lot more than I did. So, you know, if you were like me and you didn't necessarily enjoy Land of the Dead back in, 2005, it's probably, you know, due for a reevaluation. And here we have, you know, some mementos from the premieres and after parties. So that's very dope. Now, this is one of my absolute favorite comedy films that is done by Kevin Smith, and also starring those such as Elizabeth Banks and Seth Rogen. Zack and Miri make a porno. Very fun film, and I love the Monroeville Zombies hockey jerseys that were used in the film. So a very fun film, and the fact that part of the film was filmed here in the Monroeville Mall, so it's appropriate to have that here as well. And as we move here, we have the Mall of Fame. So we have George right there, we have so many others like Judith and, you know, Ken that have come through and put their bloody handprints on the wall. So guys, I absolutely think this is a very awesome installation here, the Mall of Fame. And it makes sense, I mean, because it's a mall, you know, and it's a pretty punny, but I love it, guys. We have all of our favorites. First Deadpool right there. You got John Russo right there. Linnea Quigley is up here. So many people, guys. So people have come through here that are part of the horror fandom. As you can see, they've actually had to expand the Mall of Fame because, hey, you know, more and more celebrities, I would imagine, would want to add their fingerprints or handprints to this amazing monument. But there you go, guys. I made more posters. Return of the Living Dead, Night of the Living Dead remake. Love that remake. All right, let's see what else we can see in here. Guys, check it out. I love this one because it gives you a little bit of the evolution of the zombie. We have, like, of course, Night of the Living Dead starting right there. And we have Children Shouldn't Play with Dead Things, the movie by Bob Clark, guys. Love Bob Clark, guys. You would know his filmography if you search his name for sure. Tombs of the Blind Dead, The Crazies, Shockwaves, The Done, and we have them represented here. You got Zombie, as I mentioned earlier. Love that film. And then Michael Jackson gets into it with Thriller, which is a very iconic zombie. Man, and then the Zombie video game, Dead World, very iconic early zombie comic. The art wasn't necessarily the best, but it was very cool stories. And then, of course, you know, zombies get very punk in Return of the Living Dead. It just goes on and on. We get Bub right here. I loved that zombie episode of the Treehouse of Horror. That was very dope. The first zombie-themed TV episode. I didn't even know that, so that's very cool. Dead Alive, very great movie. So many cool things, guys. Corpse Killer, Zombie Jamboree. Nice. Of course, that happened in Pittsburgh for the first zombie themed convention. Resident Evil, oh yeah. Scooby-Doo, the Resident Evil movie. Night of the Living Dead entered the National Film Registry. 28 days later, and of course we're about to get 28 years later. Definitely read the Zombie Survival Guide, great book. Gotta have The Walking Dead. Guys, they really did their research, and I love when museums are done by the fans. Yeah, the official comic adaptation of Night. Guys, this is dope, guys. Like Living Dead Fest right here. Yeah, nice. So I have to check that out. Pride and Prejudice and Zombies, definitely. You got Plants and Zombies. Like, literally, guys, zombies definitely, you know, exploded after the Walking Dead show for sure. And that's just contributed to, you know, what we love about it. So cool, guys. Even made MoMA, guys. And then Living Dead Weekend. Evans City, home of Night of the Living Dead. I'm gonna have to check that out soon, guys. I don't have the time this trip, but I'll be back in Pittsburgh. There's so much to see. Okay guys, we have this extra cool exhibit here, which is in regards to the Evil Dead. So we have a lot of screen used windows and shutters from Evil Dead 2, which of course is, I mean, hey, if you haven't seen Evil Dead 2, what are you doing? You need to check that out now. I think it's actually the more enjoyable watch in regards to, you know, whether you're watching The Evil Dead or Evil Dead 2. You can just jump right into Evil Dead 2 without seeing the first one and not skip a beat. So I give that the leg up. And, you know, the production values are way better. Tons of blood. But we even got stop motion hand armatures used to animate Bruce Campbell's severed hand. Nice. And it was created to animate Ted Danson's severed hand in an unused segment for a creep show. So that is dope, guys. So that's how that ties in to this area as well. Then we got some cabin fireplace foam stones. So that won't hurt if you get hit in the head with any of those. And cabin interior doors. Oh man. We got some prop likes here. Tape recorder and the Necronomicon pages. Yeah, so many cool pop-alikes like chainsaw shotgun, all types of other things that look like they would fit in with the film production. Man, guys, this has been quite the amazing trip. I'm glad that you guys could be here with me. It's a beautiful poster there. I absolutely love that one. I love a very unique one right there. And then we have shots from production. Oh man. Just to have been a fly out in the cemetery while they were doing this. And of course here we have more photos and autographs from cast and crew. Oh man. It's been such an amazing weekend being here at the Living Dead Mall for Living Dead weekend. Man, it's been a blast. I love that Living Dead Weekend 1985 shirt. Yeah, that is it. And here we have a few things that you can pick up that are original to the mall, different artifacts. So I did pick up a piece of marble, and all of these are authenticated. So you can get like cabin window glass, Linda's grave coal from Evil Dead stuff. Got Day of the Dead stuff. Got some Dawn of the Dead stuff. A little bit of everything, guys. So definitely come and check this out, guys. You know, I highly recommend it. You know, it's put together by amazing people. So, and like I said, guys, the admission is pretty affordable. You know, it's $8 for adults. Children under 12 get in for free. Hey, I definitely recommend you check it out. Okay, I wanted to show you guys a quick exterior shot because you guys would be familiar with this part. This is where JCPenney was. It's now Macy's. You will recognize this part from where they blocked it in, where zombies are trying to get in, where they have the overweight zombie, where the bikers are breaking out of. This is all in this parking lot right here. Right there is the Firestone, and back then it was part of JCPenney's automotive department. So that's where you will see that at, guys. Also, you'll see that's how big it was, because the Cinemark is also a little bit of where the JCPenney was. And up here, you'll see that's where the helipad was, where they dropped down the helicopter to access the mall. And you would just recognize so many of those spots, guys. Like, you just really feel something in the energy of this mall. And I am definitely I'm so happy and I feel so privileged to be here and to take this in, guys. So again, definitely try to make the journey out here, guys. Well, travelers, that would do it for me here at the Monroeville Mall here in Monroeville, Pennsylvania. I've always wanted to check out this mall, and the fact that it is still here to come visit is a testament to how beloved this film is and how beloved this mall is to this area and to this state. There are people that came to this convention from all over the world. There are more than a few people from Europe that I met, and you know, they all were here for the same purpose of paying tribute to this amazing film and to George Romero's legacy. So travelers, if you have never been to the Monroeville Mall or to the Pittsburgh area, I highly recommend doing it sooner than later, because we don't know how many days we have left of this amazing mall. So travelers, come out here, go to the Living Dead Museum and pick up some you know, items that you'll take back and keep with you, because you won't be disappointed that you did. Travelers, I am your travel guide Brendon with the Horror Greenbook, asking you to please give me one of those Ash Williams severed hands, aka the thumbs up, aka the like. That lets me know that you enjoyed the video, and it helps push it out to the algorithm and other horror fans that will enjoy this content. Go ahead and give me a comment in regards to anything. Let me know, what is your favorite George Romero film? You know, is it Night of the Living Dead? Is it Night Riders? Is it, you know, a Creep Show? You know, give me some info in regards to your fandom. And lastly, go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Make sure the notification bell is on, because you never know when I'm going to drop some new content, guys. Again, it is a pleasure to be here. It's a pleasure to have you with me. I love you guys so much, and I'll see you guys next time. But remember, travelers, it's scary in those streets, so let me know that you made it home safely.